Hello, my Teaserking family. How the hell is everybody today? Really wanted to come on yesterday. I was exhausted. But I heard about BRICS coming out with the gold-backed currency, so I got all excited. But I figure I can tell you guys today. So,
one of the biggest fitness myths is when people say carbs make you fat.
Today, a Russian state-run media channel, one of its foreign embassies,
so Russia
building
confirms.
speculation and reports that Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, also known as BRICS nations, will introduce a new trading currency linked to gold shortly.
The BRICS group is set to introduce a new currency backed by gold, in contrast to the credit-backed US dollar, with countries lining up to join the growing initiative.
So this will happen not too far off. One guy said 2 weeks, but it's they're just the fact they announced it. I think they'll finalize it in August when they do their summit. But there it is. It's out on the table. Black Swan number 5. We've had the banks collapsing. And now you have BRICS going to gold. We've waited, and it's like, I'll buy a couple ounces on Friday. Very happy to hear that. Then you got here French and Brno. France is rioting because some kid got killed, which I think Soros was behind. And then it's like, then there's a riot. So it's got Soros written all over it in France. It's just what he does. He's a fucking asshole. Then there's Sheckman. This is huge. What they're hiding. Sheckman again. All he says is supplies. They're buying all the gold. Can't really explain anything. Basically, he's a moron, but he's a salesman. He's the president of a gold, selling gold. So, and our friends in Canada, Rent and Rage. You need to earn how much to live in Toronto? So it's again, excuse me, but I'm eating dinner. We ran to the pool, and now I'm home, and it's 7:30, so I got burgers and salad. So then you have BRICS membership explodes as all these countries want to join it. So here we saw the Federal Reserve lady sitting there going, well, I'll believe it when I see it. And what are you talking about, de-dollarization? And, now there's like 39 countries running to join BRICS, especially with this gold-backed currency. Which is finally here. So look for our gold and silver to go through the roof. Then there was something, I think, I don't know what show it was on. Where they're saying that, what were they saying? I don't know. I had it on the tip of my tongue. Just with the fiat currencies, they're all ready to go out. They're all credit. for all debt. The banks will all go out. You got Russia here. Now, apparently, they're not going to let the Ukraine join NATO because that would lead to Russia launching nukes. So they can't do that. Let's get to some other stuff. So Jenna goes to Poland to get her son to go to Berlin to meet her girlfriend, and she's stuck in the train 3 hours at passport control. And then she said there was no train. I don't know what she was saying. She was saying something about trains and buses, but she got to her son's house, so she's okay. So that's good. Happy for that. So I asked the question, I go, what does this mean? Daria's daughter sent that to me, and all it says is rock on. So I asked Daria, what the hell does it mean? She said, well, it means that she thinks she's cool, or maybe I'm cool, but she said she thinks, like she's saying I'm cool. And then let's read the exact. I says, well, if you would have stuck the thumb out, it would have meant I love you, and that's what she should have been doing. Let's see, what does she say? Where did she do it? Where does she say it? The jester and teenagers means that she's cool. For some reason, you got to say she's cool, which I was like, why? Who says that? I can't say I'm cool. I can't say I'm smart. Somebody else has to say that to me. Somebody has to say professor smart, professor's cool, whatever. But I can't say that about myself. So anyway, everything's cleared up with Daria. In her words, Russian men are different than you. I'm not used to somebody being nice to me. And here you have Kenzie going, oh, my manager's afraid you'll hurt me. Unbelievable. All right, so let's go to pictures. So I know I've been asked, do we have a recession? And I've said, of course. Anytime interest rates go up, things cost more. Automakers are building more electric cars, but no one is buying them. Where have we heard that from the professor? Oh, yeah, no demand. So what do I say? They're buying them. There's no demand. And here you go. Here's proof. Automakers are building more electric cars, but no one is buying them. The only people buying them is in China. I have no idea why in China. I'm assuming they get a big pound of gold or something for it. Why are unsold electric vehicles stacking up on dealers' lots? No demand, says law. If nobody wants it, why are you building it? Now, everybody's talking about deflation. What do Austrian economists think about inflation? So I Googled this because there's no such thing as deflation. The opinions of deflation vary widely. Austrian economists define it as a contraction of the money supply, while mainstream economists define deflation as a fall in prices. This is why I don't understand it. A fall in prices is the market. It's got nothing to do, but deflation is a contraction of the money supply. Well, we know that's not happening. So that's why I'm puzzled, because in my world, you're not contracting the money supply. In the Keynes world, as a general fall in prices. We don't care about a fall in prices. A fall in prices is the economy, and I'm going to show you some Adam Smith today. I watched him today, and then I bookmarked where I should show you. And so basically, this is just a free market. If competition comes in and the price goes down, that's not deflation. If there's no demand, like electric cars, and the price goes down, not deflation. You're not reducing the amount of money out there. You didn't all of a sudden have less. So this is why my problem with when the Keynesians speak, I don't hear. Because I got a master's in this shit, and the only thing I had was deflation, as I read you, was deflation. Banks have bad loans, which is margin call, basically, right? The movie. Causes of deflation. By definition, monetary deflation can only be caused by a decrease in the supply of money or financial instruments redeemable in money. In modern times, the money supply is most influenced by central banks, such as the Federal Reserve. When the supply of money and credit falls without a corresponding decrease in economic output, and I get a little bit hazy there, then the prices of all goods tend to fall. Periods of deflation most commonly occur after long periods of artificial monetary expansion, which is, again, you've raised the prices so much that they have to come back down, or like a stock going way up and eventually comes back down. Well, that's just a normal cycle. The early 1930s was the last time significant deflation was experienced in the United States. The major contributor to this deflationary period was the fall in the money supply following catastrophic bank failures. Other nations, such as Japan in the 1990s, have experienced deflation in modern times. So all the banks go under, and I guess they're calling that deflation. So maybe that's why they're trying to ruin the banks. Hard to say. You never know what these morons are up to. Used car prices in America are plummeting as the fastest pace since the pandemic, and that may drive June inflation below 3%. So they're calculating it based on prices of one item. So if the car prices go down, obviously there's no more inflation. Wait a minute. Inflation is when you print this. What does falling car prices of used cars have to do with this? Doesn't make any sense. It's got nothing to do with apples and oranges. On one hand, you're printing money and you're devaluing it to zero. On the other hand, you have used car prices plummeting. What would cause used car prices to plummet? I have no idea. So that would mean there's no demand for a used car. I'd assume because higher interest rates would make it so expensive. Who's buying a car in this environment? Interest rates go up 6, 7, 8%. Who's buying them? So if nobody's buying them, the price goes down. That's what makes sense, but that's got nothing to do with inflation or deflation. See, prices go down for many reasons. If interest rates go high and prices go down, that's not deflation. It's the market saying, I don't want to buy one now. It's just the market. People don't understand anything. Inflation is painful. It robs everybody from the postman to Wall Street's most powerful investment bank. Yeah, bullshit. Stealing their spending power without a vote. And it does so without a pension for society's most vulnerable. But deflation might be even worse. Oh, I can't wait to read this. When falling prices can sound appealing, deflation environments are terrible for growth. Not necessarily, but okay. Who cares? As former Golden explained it in Bloomberg interview October 21st, it all comes down to consumers' expectations of the future. No, it doesn't. I buy something because I want to buy it or I don't want to buy it. Now, he might be thinking, well, they're not going to be working, so I'm not going to spend. But if you're worried about inflation and you're worried about your money going to zero, you're going to spend it. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. When you have deflationary expectations, you say, you know something, I'll wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow you wake up and say, I'll wait another day because it's getting cheaper and easier than you really are in the economic doldrum. Well, yeah, but not in inflation time. In inflation time, your money is worthless. And so as your money goes to zero, do you want to hold it? I'm going to run out and buy gold. So I'm not. That's really how I'm saving. Even though inflation is horrible for any economy, deflation is something that central banks truly can't tolerate because it can crush demand as consumers and business delay purchases and investments. I don't buy that at all. So prices for golf clubs are dropping and I want to buy a golf club. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to wait till they drop further. Do I know they're going to drop further? How do I know this? How do I know, if it's on sale? If I go to the grocery store, cherries were $2.29 a pound. Did I buy them or did I wait? Oh, well, they'll be $2. What a bunch of bullshit. You don't know. You don't know how far they're going. So why would you wait? If you need something, you buy it. If I need my groceries, I buy them. I just bought socks yesterday. I got a 6-pack. If I need golf clubs or I want them, I buy them. If I can afford it, I can buy it. Now, I might not go out and buy a house or a car now because of interest rates. But that doesn't make inflation better because of that. So it's just so stupid. These people are morons. Mortgage rates climbed to a 15-year high following surprisingly strong wage growth. The fuck does that have to do with anything? Mortgage rates climbed to 15-year high because of inflation. Because the money's losing value. You need to raise interest rates to get your money back. Following surprising strong wage growth. I don't connect. What does wage growth have to do with higher mortgage? Mortgages are, I'm giving you 100. I want to get 110. I got to raise interest rates. What does that have to do with wage growth? Nothing. These people write the stupidest things. The RTO push is over. Hybrid work has won out, says nation's top. Oh, so this is return to the office. That's what RTO is. The return to office push is over. Hybrid work has won out, says nation's top, I guess, recruiters. So in other words, people don't want to go to the office or just slightly, so they're not returning to the office. They're only apparently doing what I'm doing, which I just did. I ran into it. I wasn't necessarily looking for remote. I didn't like turn down jobs because I'm going to work remote, but I fell into it and I love it. So I don't know if people are actually going, oh, I'm not going to work in the office. It'd be pretty stupid. I'm going to turn the job down because I got to go into the office. Then we have consumers slam the brakes on borrowing in May. Yeah, because they can't afford it. Because of the interest rates are so expensive, they're too expensive. Housing market 2023. Prices are now so high that banks are losing money, which means BlackRock, thank God. So banks bought the house. So BlackRock bought all these houses, and now prices are so high, the bank's losing money. I don't know. Are the prices high? That doesn't make any sense. Here we go. Microsoft is cutting more jobs after laying off 10,000 earlier this year. So here's Microsoft. Do you want to buy Microsoft stock? They're obviously not making money if they got to lay off people, because it's not like in an inflation time, if their costs are going up, what are they going to raise the Excel program or the Microsoft suite? I mean, they probably try, those idiots. Federal debt explodes by $1 trillion in 5 weeks, and steel suspending the ceiling. So you think inflation's down when the debt is up $1 trillion? So do you really want to believe inflation's down? They're not going to print any more to you to pay this debt off. So if you owe your credit card and you go to the printing press, you go, okay, I need $5,000 to pay. That's what they're doing. So how can inflation go down? It's just ridiculous. Well, because we're doing it based on prices. It's not based on prices. Prices is not how you measure inflation. Purchasing power and the dollar's down. It ain't going back up. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. Only backed by gold can it happen. China's economy is trapped in downward spiral. Okay. It's a Keynesian economy. It doesn't work. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo among major U.S. banks to write off $5 billion in loans. So they've loaned money to people who are not able and willing to pay back. Where are we in our trade cycle? Liquidation phase 13, sell, cost cutting, companies close, layoffs, Microsoft. Deflation, step 14, banks have bad loans, fiduciary money goes down. Banks can't find willing and able to borrow. So it sounds like we're at step 14. Banks have bad loans. Here's banks write off $5 billion in loans. Banks can't find borrowers. Well, nobody wants to, the interest rates are too high. So we're at step 14. So you think the banks are fine? You got the big banks. So you think, what do you think happens? They cut off $5 billion in loans. That's just no big deal. So Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo among major U.S. banks to write off $5 billion. Do you think these banks are going under? These are the big banks. $5 billion in loans. Yeah, they're all fucked. All right, so that's today's news in the economic sanction. So basically, because used car sales are down, they want to say inflation's over. Yeah, good luck believing that crap. All right, let's get to Adam Smith. So I watch Adam Smith today. My man. All right, so there's two. There's the real Adam Smith, ideas, and then there's morality. Oh, here, this one. So this is ideas and then morality. So it's called Adam Smith. So let's the real Adam Smith ideas. So it's an hour long. Obviously, I'm not going to play it.
Recently, and for no reason at all, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed.
If they're allowed to raise rates because of inflation. That's stupid questions, that. All right, there's about 5 little sections I'm going to play here.
Adam Smith would be amazed. Every corner of the earth is now linked to every other. Each day, more people become connected by global trade. Each day, because of it, life gets better for millions of people. So
Highly
was
recommend
man
this
who
video.
predicted that trade would lead to prosperity? Who foresaw this global progression out of poverty?
Smith took ideas of economics that were really in the bow and arrow stage and made them into a modern theory, which actually still drives our economic thinking today. People call him an economist. He was really a social psychologist. He wrote about ethics, he wrote about law, he wrote about politics, and obviously wrote about economics.
The man many consider most responsible for today's prosperity. Indeed, the father of modern economics. First made a name for himself as a young man here in Edinburgh, Scotland. This historic city was then the center of the Scottish Enlightenment, and Adam Smith was one of its brightest lights. He had written an amazing book, The Theory of Moral Sentiments, and that had propelled him into popularity. He would go on to write another, which was equally popular and eventually better known, The Wealth of Nations. Together, these two books described a powerful system of guidelines, linking morality and economics.
Adam Smith was one of the greatest minds of all time.
His great gift was observation, and his study of human nature as it appeared in different types of society at different periods of history is absolutely awesome.
Adam Smith was born in 1723 in the small seaside town of Kirkcaldy, Scotland, where he learned about morality and economics at the local merchants' market. He studied at Glasgow University, became its top administrator, and then a pillar of the unlikely intellectual.
All right. It's a long video, so I'm going to get to the parts that I kind of bookmarked.
Individual property rights and respect for the rule of law. He instituted an uncomplicated tax system with low rates on both individuals and business. The overall tax burden was half that of the United States at the time. There were water shortages and thousands of refugee families called the harbor home. But everything would change because of the vision of one determined man, Sir John James Cowperthwaite, Hong Kong's financial secretary from 1961 to 1971. He was also a Scotsman and very much a disciple of Adam Smith.
Sir John Cowperthwaite is one of the great unappreciated heroes of political economy. He implemented in Hong Kong an experiment. He applied his theory of what he called benign neglect. So he instituted in Hong Kong the system of Smithian political economy to see what would happen.
Cowperthwaite built a Hong Kong that had relatively little corruption, an efficient and independent judiciary, individual property rights, and respect for the rule of law. He instituted an uncomplicated tax system with low rates on both individuals and business. The overall tax burden was half that of the United States at the time.
And he implemented the Smithian system of peace, easy taxes, and a tolerable administration of justice. And look what happened.
Little else is requisite to carry a state to the highest degree of opulence, but peace, easy taxes, and a tolerable administration of justice, all the rest being brought about by the natural course of things.
In Cowperthwaite's decade as financial secretary, real wages rose by 50%. Between 1960 and 2014, Hong Kong's GDP per capita adjusted for inflation increased more than 10 times.
And they turned what was effectively a rock in the 1950s to one of the most prosperous places on earth today.
Even now, under Chinese rule, Hong Kong remains one of the world's most important financial centers. It's proof that with the right policies in place, change can come quickly. And today, the people of Hong Kong, despite continued unrest and demands for a greater say in their future, have a higher income per capita than their old colonial masters in Britain. While Hong Kong, along with Japan and the other Asian tigers, was prospering, China was stagnating. 20 years of Soviet-style centralized planning and control had crippled the country.
After Mao died, both the Chinese leaders and the Chinese people recognized that socialism didn't work.
Ning Wang is professor of economics at the Ronald Coase Institute, an author with Ronald Coase of the book How China Became Capitalist.
He tried new ways to organize the economy, and what emerged spontaneous was something we here recognized as the market economy. And in China, it's called socialism with Chinese characteristics.
Socialism with Chinese characteristics translates to change from the ground up or spontaneous development. Add to this the power of a market economy, and you have two of Adam Smith's most essential concepts.
They gradually opened up the economy, allowed private sector to enter in one industry after another. And of course, once the private enterprises entered any sector, they quickly outperformed state enterprises.
The small market economy.
So let me translate that. What do we talk about? Keynesian, which is communist, and we talk about Austrian, which is capitalist. What do you just say? The private sector, Austrian economy, capitalism, where me and you choose, way outperformed communism or government control, where the government controls the market, not the individual. And here's proof. He just said it right there. Forget me saying it. That capitalism works. It worked in Hong Kong. It worked in China. Communism wasn't working in China, where the state was controlling everything. Sound money, sound laws, competition, no tax, very little taxes, and freedom. And Hong Kong grew, and so did Singapore. And even China, which was communist, all of a sudden said, hey, why don't we try capitalism? Now, in the U.S., we've been doing it since 1776. But what happens is, and that's what I call the dragon comes in, we get so big and so powerful and so rich that the dragon comes in to steal our money, which is what's happening. You got idiots like Biden and Obama running these things into the ground. They start stealing the money and it corrupts. The laws are no longer working. There's no more freedom. There's too many lobbyists coming around making monopolies instead of free market economics. If I paid the guy $5 billion because I want to sell Coca-Cola and he's going to sell Coca-Cola, he'll give me so I get a monopoly almost. That's what's happening here. You don't have good laws. It's all corrupt. You got this lobbyist. It's all corrupt. You got high taxes. You don't have free market. What the fuck are they doing? So you have the perfect thing. All I can say is, as a guy, you have the perfect girl and you let her go, and then she's gone. And then you're like, oh, fuck, I just blew that one, didn't I? That's kind of what's happening here. We have the perfect system, but nobody wants to follow it. All right.
I've been in and out of therapy with BetterHelp for a few years now, and it's made prioritizing my mental and emotional health.
Get off my channel.
The most severe defect of the Chinese system is that China now has an open market for goods, but doesn't have a free market for ideas.
A free market not only opens our minds to new ideas, it helps us to be far more productive. From thousands of independent suppliers around the world, millions of parts have been shipped to Airbus in Toulouse, France. Here, they will be assembled into the largest and most modern airliner on Earth, a product of the vast benefits of a global division of labor, a concept popularized by Adam Smith. The division of labor, so far as it can be introduced, occasions in every art a proportional increase of the productive powers of labor.
Few things better illustrate the benefits of the division of labor than factories like this. Smith would have been amazed.
What was an extraordinary insight in Smith's day, the productive potential of the division of labor, is now a commonplace, common sense global phenomenon.
Here we are in our mock-up hall here in Toulouse. We have full-size models of the major models that we produce for Airbus.
Alain Pardo is the head of marketing communications at Airbus in Toulouse, France.
They're fully furnished, so they have seats and galleys and furnishings, just like a real airplane. If you like, it's sort of a showroom. We are many thousand people in Toulouse, but we're of course a global company. We're not just French. So an A380 is a very big airplane. In fact, it's the world's largest commercial airplane. And what really distinguishes it is the fact that it's got 2 decks, 2 levels, 2 cabins. And it's an airplane that probably has something in the order of 4 million individual parts. 2.5 million of those are unique part numbers. We must have something in the order of 1,500 suppliers in probably about 30 countries.
And each of those suppliers does what they do best. They specialize in their own area of expertise.
The wings are constructed in England, and each contains 32,000 individual parts.
The wing is enormous. It's huge. The wingspan of this airplane is about 80 meters. That's something in the order of 250 feet. So it's bigger than almost every other airplane ever flown. It's certainly the largest commercial airplane flown.
Smith first described the division of labor by looking at the manufacture of simple pins. We've come a long way since, but the principle is still the same. The larger the scale of the cooperation, the greater the chance of specializing.
I think for one company to try to do everything on its own would be prohibitively expensive in terms of just not money, but resource, people, know-how. It's a global business. People fly around the world day in, day out. It's a global supply business. It's a global manufacturing business.
You concentrate on doing the things that you're good at. I concentrate on doing the things that I'm good at. And then we exchange. And then we're both really much, much better off because we're very much more efficient.
What we see in the world today in a globalized economy is millions, indeed billions of people who are cooperating with one another in innovative new ways around the world. In some sense, that really is the Adam Smithian world.
With incredible machines like these, we can travel from one continent to the other, supported by a vast network of millions of people and thousands of systems that keep everything up in the air.
And while we're flying, tons of freight is traveling with us in the cargo holds. But by far, most products traded between nations still travel as they did in Smith's day, on the seas. With every one of the allotted containers unloaded in Algeciras, the Maersk McKinney Muller is ready to depart.
This thing's so big, it's incredible.
Stock only long enough to unload and load. At most ports, the crew never leaves the ship. Before dawn, with the moon setting behind the mountains,
She heads into the crowded Strait of Gibraltar.
I would say that a favorite place to be on the bridge once the sun rises. And you have this deep orange sun coming up, and you see the light changing in the horizon just before it breaks.
Aboard the Maersk McKinney Muller, the crew on the giant ship settles into their daily rhythm, checking the bracing on the containers, keeping the ship clean, and performing routine maintenance. Maersk is a Danish company. The captain and his senior officers are from Denmark. The rest of the crew is international.
That is correct, leaving Algeciras bound for Rotterdam. In the past, everything had to be done manually. Nowadays, a lot of the functions that we control are done automatically via computers and monitors. And that, of course, requires less manpower. A officer or a navigator nowadays is actually, he's not steering the big wheel anymore. He's basically monitoring all the automated systems on board.
Google Fi Wireless. Get Google Pixel 7a on us.
So what does that sound like?
No trade-in required.
Systems on.
So that's like AI, right? Everybody's so worried about AI and AI. Well, there's AI. The captain doesn't even do the steering wheel. Excuse me. That was a big one. Cauliflower. So the captain doesn't even do the steering wheel. It's all AI. Yeah, you need engineers to still watch it. If something goes wrong, they got to be able to fix it. So it basically steers itself based on you giving it the code where to go. But it's really amazing because, like with the plane, that's what the division of labor is. I do finance, somebody else does engineering, somebody else does this and that. And then they make the wing. I'd be the financial analyst trying to keep track of 1 million parts. But that's how you do it. You get people to bid on it. So you do this part of the wing, you do that part of the wing. You do this part of the wing, you do that part of the wheels, you do this part of making the seats, making the lights. And that's, look at all the jobs that's created by that, because you got to have, 10,000 vendors? And they got to have competition. So there's really like 50,000 vendors because, each vendor is going to have competition, maybe 10, 12, 20 type of people. So we will see, but just fascinating stuff. Let's go on.
Carry wine, expensive French wine we carry in refrigerated containers.
Fruits and vegetables stay fresh for dramatically longer periods of time.
We can make an artificial atmosphere in our containers.
By controlling the levels of oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen.
Then, as we're getting closer to the port of delivery, then we will start increasing the oxygen level in the container. And then the bananas are, so to speak, ready when they hit the supermarket.
Very clever.
The shelves of supermarkets throughout the world are stocked with goods transported aboard cargo ships like the Maersk McKinney Muller.
Ooh, avocados.
This is a Whole Foods market in Austin, Texas. There are over 400 Whole Foods markets in the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. They sell products from around the world.
This is a good place to work if you're looking for something like
Consumers
this.
can shop with a conscience. Most business people are honest and ethical. In fact, it turns out that the more ethical they are, the better the company performance. In the cutthroat supermarket business, it's important to stake out your own territory. The company's motto is Whole Foods, Whole People, Whole Planet. At the center of this amazing story is co-founder John Mackey. To understand the Whole Foods market, you have to understand him.
The original vision for Whole Foods was very simply is we wanted to sell healthy food to people, earn a living, and have fun. The higher purpose of Whole Foods has become a lot deeper and more complex than it was back 34 years ago.
And that brings us to mission. Mission is something Mackey takes seriously. It's not just platitudes for a wall plaque in a corporate lobby. It's the statement that embodies his ethical perspective.
We want to sell healthy food to people, help people to reach their highest potential through having good health. We also have a sense that the people that work for us should be flourishing and should be happy in their work. And we also feel a responsibility for the larger communities that we're trading with.
It's been on Fortune's 100 Best Companies to Work For list for 18 years in a row. What seems to make Whole Foods so successful is that the people who work here are strongly committed to all the stakeholders, to customers and team members, to stockholders and suppliers, which has resulted in highly committed employees and very faithful customers. And a lot of John Mackey's philosophy is based solidly on Adam Smith.
There you go.
I mean, Adam Smith was so far ahead of his time.
He's the man.
The totality of his ideas are still very, very important and very relevant today.
Smith gives us a way of thinking about markets and morality together. For Smith, these are not two things that can easily be extricated from each other, as if one can simply talk about rational economic men on one hand and then moral men in a different sphere on another.
Smith understood that you're going to be better at business if you can understand your customers and generally sympathize with them, as well as understanding and sympathizing
Say's
with
law.
The chipotle, the lemon, the garlic and basil, and the sesame ginger. I really like it.
I think that most of our guests, when they walk in the door, know that there's something different. For a lot of people, it's the energy of the team members, right? I think a lot of our team members feel empowered and feel fulfilled and therefore feel happy and satisfied in their work.
Lindsay Mucha is store team leader of one of the Whole Foods markets in Austin. She's been with Whole Foods for over 10 years.
My goal was to work here for 6 months, graduate from college, and then go off and find my career path. And I very quickly fell in love with Whole Foods. I loved the values and the mission.
The greatest source of creativity and innovation exists in our team member base. A big part of what we're trying to do is allow them to be themselves, to be authentic, to be spontaneous, allow them to experiment, to create new things, to create the innovations.
This helps to illustrate Adam Smith's principle that top-down command structures aren't always the best. Things organize themselves better from the bottom up.
When the Davises booked their Verbo vacation home, they didn't.
Many commercials on YouTube now.
Or their neighbor.
What the?
The natural effort of every individual to better his own condition is so powerful that it is alone capable of carrying on the society to wealth and prosperity.
Many of the institutions that we have, language, markets, you name it, these are indeed the results of human action, but they're not the results of human design. We never plan these things. They just evolve naturally.
So note that phrasing. Individual human action, but not individual human design.
You don't need a central planning authority to run your society well.
And that's a really cool thing.
There you go. You don't need communism or socialism. It can't work. It can only work if you let the people make their choices. You cannot have central planning. It's impossible to predict. So this is where I get my stuff from, is Adam Smith and Say's Law. Now, let's go to inflation, deflation. So you go in and you want the Whole Foods, and they offer it. If there's demand for, chicken, there's a price. And if there's no demand, the price goes down. So why do they call it deflation like it's a big deal? If there's a market and they want it, the price goes up. If there's no market and the price, and nobody wants it, the price goes down. So if nobody can afford these houses with these high interest rates or the cars with the high interest rate, it's not deflation. It's above, and people can't afford it. That's the market. Don't charge so much. Why would you charge so much for a car if you're over market? And I shared that with the Toyota guy. It says if your market's here for a Camry and you're trying to sell it here, how the hell are you going to sell it? You have to be at market. He understood that. But that's not deflation, because you were selling the Camry at 25. You raised the price to 30. Is that inflation? No. That's stupidity. That's not knowing your market. So it's not inflation when the price goes up. And therefore, if the price goes down to 25,000, it's not like inflation's going down, nor is it deflation. My car I bought for $24,000. I don't know what it's probably worth 17, 18 because I put 50,000 miles on it, which is fine. It's a depreciable thing, but that's okay. That's my point. That's the free market. The free market says this is what you get for it. All this deflation crap, it's all meaningless. It's what the market dictates. If the market dictates, we're not going to give you this. This is what the market's willing to spend. That's what it is. So I don't know. Well, deflation. Oh, it's the market. That's why I can't follow these idiot Keynesians because I don't know what planet they're on. All right, let's go to another segment. But the Whole Foods one was very Adam Smith.
Real industry. There is no real commerce, and it's pretty scary that wealthiest counties in the United States are in the suburbs of Washington, D.C.
The top 2 richest counties in the United States, and 6 of the top 10 are suburbs of Washington, D.C.
All that money is basically money that is sucked from the system and wasted in lobbying.
Lobbying pays very well, and not just for the lobbyists. The real payoffs go to the corporations they represent.
Smith thought that any institution, government included, could become corrupted if it was too big and made too many decisions centrally.
Yeah,
widen the market.
That's
and
what we
to narrow
have.
the competition is always the interest of the dealers. Any new law or regulation of commerce ought always to be listened to with great precaution.
A series of recent governmental regulations illustrates Adam Smith's fear. Corn ethanol is a biofuel. It's basically fuel that comes from corn. It's more costly and far more inefficient to make than ethanol from sugar. But now, almost 40% of the nation's corn crop goes into making ethanol, which has driven the price of corn way up. It makes corn farmers and processors happy because it gives them a guaranteed profit. But all of us have to pay more for foods that use corn, especially meat and poultry. The fuel companies are required
That's
by
why
federal
steaks
law
up.
to buy ethanol, whether they want it or not, or whether motorists want it or not. Between 2007 and 2012, the corn ethanol lobby spent $139 million and in return gained over $28 billion in corn ethanol tax credits.
So once you have this kind of returns, then people will not invest in R&D. They will not invest in new sort of organizational form. They will not invest in new technology. They will not invest in new property, plant, and equipment. They will invest in lobbying.
Many corporations prefer to get their profits by legislating them, rather than by selling goods.
You're kidding me.
A guaranteed profit. But all of us have to pay more for foods that use corn, especially meat and poultry. The fuel companies are required by federal law to buy ethanol, whether they want it or not, or whether motorists want it or not. Between 2007 and 2012, the corn ethanol lobby spent $139 million and in return gained over $28 billion in corn ethanol tax credits.
So once you have this kind of returns, then people will not invest in R&D. They will not invest in new sort of organizational form. They will not invest in new technology. They will not invest in new property, plant, and equipment. They will invest in lobbying.
Many corporations prefer to get their profits by legislating them, rather than by selling goods and services that people want on an open market. Adam Smith saw exactly the same forces at work in his day.
What Smith saw was that when business people go to the government and they say, we want a special royal charter, we want special protections from competition, we are a vital national industry and we need special privileges, you got to be careful. Because when this happens, this is really people conspiring to protect their own interests at the expense of others.
Adam Smith understands that in order for competition to work its magic, you need to have rules in place, because otherwise, rather than competition, you have the law of the jungle.
This is Adam Smith's key insight. Competition is not a way of giving power to companies. It's a way of giving us power over them.
The founding fathers not only established a government of the people, by the people, for the people, they also established an economic system of the people, by the people, for the people. This is what distinguishes the United States from the rest of the world, and this is what gives us hope.
With the price of just about everything inflating these days, you may wonder why Mint is deflating the price of Mint.
And this is what gives us hope.
But is it possible to have markets that operate in the interests of sellers and buyers without a lot of government regulation? The answer might be yes, if they embody Adam Smith's ideas. It used to be that when you wanted to go someplace in a city, you had to wait for a taxi or rent a car. But now with apps like Uber and Lyft, that's all changed. Lyft?
Yes.
Hi, are you David?
Yes.
People today ride with strangers in their cars. And with sites like Airbnb, they sleep in strangers' homes. It's just a tiny part of a much larger and much more important social trend, an explosion of trust enabled by the internet. And the granddaddy of them all is eBay.
Almost every country in the world has buyers and sellers who work inside the eBay marketplace.
Devin Wenig is CEO of eBay Marketplaces.
eBay is founded on this principle of economic democracy, that individuals around the world who don't know each other and have never met can work in a system to be able to conduct economic transactions fairly and securely and have confidence in that.
eBay was founded in 1995 by Pierre Omidyar.
Pierre thought very strongly about the notion of the free market. He believed in Adam Smith's principles. He believed that an economic democracy would not only be a great business, but it had the potential to do immense amounts of good around the world.
eBay has hundreds of thousands of small sellers around the world that are now doing more than half their business outside of their national borders. One retailer that is profiting in this new era is Gelb Music.
Gelb was started in 1939, about 75 years ago, located right here in Redwood City, California. It's been here ever since, and carry about a little over 50,000 products here.
Mike Craig is Gelb's e-commerce marketing manager.
We have a complete line of drums, bass, guitars, recording equipment. We were waiting for our own website to be built. We took about 200 products, mostly snare drums, did about $200,000. The test definitely worked. The following year, we put up about 1,000 products, maybe a little bit over, and we did about $750,000 in sales.
We now have about 160 million active consumers who buy and sell in our marketplace every day. We now sell a little less than $90 billion of goods every year, and consumers access us from over 190 countries.
Well, eBay has saved the store number one, but it's also opened our eyes to markets that we didn't think were obtainable.
One of the great things about marketplaces is that they act as an incredible price discovery mechanism.
Because if you're looking at a collectible or a coin or a comic book or a rare automobile, the likelihood is that there were more sales in eBay for that particular item than in any other marketplace in the world.
Adam Smith would have said that an invisible hand guides eBay sellers around the world. As prices are on the rise, because buyers want a particular item, sellers stream into the market to satisfy that demand. And when demand drops, prices go down.
Imagine a world where there's screens everywhere. Those screens are connected to a global marketplace. That global marketplace has all the world's inventory priced fairly because it's an open marketplace.
and you're one click away from buying anything you want at any time for a fair price.
There are millions.
This is why I bitch about deflation, because it's all the marketplace. If the price goes down, it just, there's no demand for it. I don't understand all the screaming and yelling about deflation. Oh my God, we're in deflation. No, it's the market. Nobody wants what you're selling. Nobody smells what you're cooking, and that's what happens. So I don't get deflation. There's no demand for a car. There's no demand for a house. It's too expensive. The market's here. You're trying to sell it here. I don't get even what deflation is. Prices going down is because of the marketplace. It has nothing to do with anything else. You print the money. Inflation is you're printing too much money, making it worth less. Very simple concept. Topps baseball cards. I've shown you that. I've shown you the Barry Sanders Topps rookie is worth nothing. Neither's the Pro set because they made too many of them. But so then they throw in deflation. It's not related to inflation. This is the value going down. Now, in Austrian economics, they're trying to say deflation is the dollar going up. Well, they're not stopping the print, so that's not what's happening. They're linking inflation to prices, and they're linking deflation to prices. But as you just heard, it's Say's Law and Adam Smith as eBay. It's all the markets. It's about people wanting it or don't want it. So if there's no demand for a Rolex and it goes down, it goes down. There's no demand in the market. The marketplace has changed. It's not deflation. I just don't. It's so frustrating trying to listen to these idiots.
Of exchanges each minute, all of them
I
without
like this guy, the
among
narrator.
strangers, across borders and oceans. It's an enormous amount of business based solely on trust.
Pierre's notion was let the buyers and sellers in the marketplace determine
Say's
who
Law.
the best buyers and sellers are. So the eBay feedback system was born.
The way ratings work is that when you sell a product,
Yeah. Okay. So that was Adam Smith 1. Now let's go to Adam Smith 2, and there's quite a bit in this one. Morality. So many fucking commercials.
Knock, knock. Hi there. I'd love to show you what a K-12 powered school is really like.
Yeah, but we don't want to see it.
Corruption, fraud, and greed continue to dominate media here in the United States. Funding for this program has been provided by John Templeton Foundation and Templeton in his surprising analysis of the evolution of morality.
And I'm fascinated by Adam Smith, a man who would turn the notion of how societies and economics work on its head and make way for the modern age.
He recorded his ideas in 2 comprehensive books, The Theory of Moral Sentiments and The Wealth of Nations. Was he a revolutionary moralist, an uncompromising advocate of self-interest and free markets, or something altogether different? Who was the real Adam Smith?
I am.
Funding for this program has been provided by John Templeton Foundation and Templeton Religion Trust. Historic Edinburgh still reflects the energy and cultural vitality for which it was known in the 1700s. A dramatic castle still dominates the landscape above the old town. Below stretches
I think I might be at the
hustle
wrong
and bustle
spot.
of modern city life. Edinburgh today is a haven for the arts, full of open, warm, and welcoming people.
I want to go there.
In 1707, Scotland had joined with Ireland and Wales to become the United Kingdom. It would be Europe's largest free
I
trade
think
zone, and the great cultural and intellectual revolution to be known as the Scottish Enlightenment.
Ideas of justice, even ideas and thoughts about what governments ought to do. Smith is on a big trajectory, and he knows it.
In 1751, at age 27, he's appointed professor of logic and metaphysics here at his alma mater, the University of Glasgow. He will be a teacher, a researcher, and an administrator, all at the same time.
By far the most useful, and therefore by far the happiest and most honourable period of my life.
Smith throws himself into day-to-day operations, even the minutiae of managing the university's Roman artifacts, currently on display here at the Hunterian Museum. He takes charge of the university library and creates space on campus for the workshop of a young inventor, James Watt, who will refine the steam engine for practical use. It's a hectic schedule, dominated by teaching. Every weekday from October 10th to June 10th, with just a single day's break for Christmas, he teaches moral philosophy and continues to refine his ideas.
And this, of course, is a perfect opportunity for him to develop his thinking about exchange on an enormous scale.
In fact, we know exactly how his thinking developed during these years, thanks to a fascinating discovery. So what have you got here?
Well, these are 2 volumes of student notes from Adam Smith's time here at Glasgow University as a professor.
Robert MacLean is an assistant librarian of special collections.
Describe his lectures on
You might be
jurisprudence, but on the
22.
right from his lectures on rhetoric.
And why are these relevant? What do they tell us?
Well, they can tell us all sorts of different things about the subjects that were taught. Very little is known, other than from lecture notes, about what he taught in his classes.
He taught about ethics and morality, economic concepts like the mechanism of the price system, the shortcomings of protectionism, and the development of governmental and economic institutions.
What it shows is that his thinking about economics is embedded in his thinking about justice and about the duties of government.
Years later, these ideas will become the cornerstones of his works on morality and economics. His teaching has transformed him into something of a cult figure, an academic rock star whose portrait bust can be bought by the students in the local bookshop. If he were teaching today, they'd probably buy a t-shirt with his face on it.
No one can have worked harder than Smith as a professor. By any standards, ancient or modern, it's an absolute killer regime that he goes through.
After years of research and writing, his first great book is ready. At its core are the ideas that trust and empathy are the root, the essence of any successful society.
1 in 7 children does not have enough food to lead a healthy and active life.
Successful society. Today, first editions of Smith's breakthrough book are very rare and can sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. By special arrangement, Nick Phillipson and I are going to be able to see one close up.
Johan, what we have here is a first far better for actual individuals to be free to pursue their own self-interest as they see fit.
By any standards, ancient or modern, it's an absolute killer regime that he goes through.
After years of research and writing, his first great book is ready. At its core are the ideas that trust and empathy are the root, the essence of any successful society. Today, first editions of Smith's breakthrough book are very rare and can sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. By special arrangement, Nick Phillipson and I are going to be able to see one close up.
Johan, what we have here is a first edition of Adam Smith's Theory of Moral Sentiments.
Bill Zacks is a distinguished Scottish Enlightenment scholar.
It was published in London in April of 1759. 1,000 copies were printed for distribution there, in Edinburgh, and in other places across Britain, at a cost of 6 shillings per copy.
And who got this first edition?
Lucky people got presentation copies, and the lucky people tended to be powerful people in London, members of the literary elite. But the book sold like hotcakes, and 2/3 of the first edition was sold out in a couple of months.
One of the most profound things about Adam Smith is his view of social evolution, that many of the institutions that we have, language, markets, you name it, these are indeed the results of human action, but they're not the results of human design. We never planned these things.
So note that phrasing. individual human action, but not individual human design.
Smith thought that those people who believed they knew what was best for others were
Communist.
represented by a figure he called the man of system.
The man of system is the man who is entranced, enthralled by his own idea of the ideal, tries to make that ideal a reality,
and decides that he's going to impose it from the top down, whether people want it or not. And as Smith said, the man of system makes the mistake of thinking that he can move people around the way a hand moves chess pieces around on a chessboard.
And Smith thinks that this is dangerous for two reasons. First, he thinks he knows more than he can actually know. He thinks he knows what's good for all individuals and then tries to force them into his particular boxes.
But of course, the mistake, Smith says, is that human beings are not like chess pieces. They have principles of motion all their own. They have their own ideas about what they'd like to do in life. They have free will.
Far better for the well-being of the economy as a whole, far better for actual individuals to be free to pursue their own self-interest as they see fit.
See, that's what we want.
Smith had clearly made his mark with the theory.
See, that's capitalism. That's Austrian economics, pure and simple right there. It's let them do it. Hey, Bobby Bo. This is Adam Smith. So, Bobby, you got to watch this. This is, I don't know how to put it, but you're like learning from Babe Ruth right now. So this is the difference. We are Austrian economists. The individual makes all the choices, right? I'm going golfing. I'm going to get Chinese. I'm going General Chow. I'm going to go buy shoes. Da 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 da. And here they're trying to, when they try to put the people in their spots, that's communism, socialism. That's the Chinese, the Canadians, the Russians, where they think they know more than the individual. And nobody knows more than the individual but the individual. I can't tell Bobby what he's going to do. I don't know if Bobby knows what Bobby's going to do. But we got to leave that up to Bobby. Bobby, you do what you want. You have the freedom. Boom. Not the government cannot control us. That's why nobody wants CBDCs. What do you mean you're going to control where I go, how far I go? That's a bunch of bullshit. He's not Babe Ruth. The professor is Banal Ruth. Well, like Roger Mir. Thank you, Bobby. You missed the first Adam Smith probably about a half hour ago. So I highly recommend watching that. They are on YouTube. If you do Adam Smith, they're about an hour long. The best hour you could spend. Babe Ruth. Yeah, I got you. I got you, Bobby. All right. So that's the point of communism, where they're trying to control you, and I'm Austrian saying, no, we control ourselves. You can't control us. Yeah, y'all love it. It's very good, and I tried to hit the high points. All right, next part.
He started to dress rather well.
His social life is suddenly full. There are frequent gatherings in grand salons like this.
Talking about Adam
Men and
Smith.
women meet to discuss literature, ethics, and Smith's own works.
One of the things that's funny about Smith is that, awkward, eccentric though he is, very few people have a bad word to say about him. And rather improbably, Paris loved him.
Adam Smith probably dined here with some of his new friends. This is Le Procope, founded in 1686. It's one of the oldest restaurants.
No, I want to
in
eat
Paris.
there.
This establishment was a gathering place for many of the great thinkers of the age. Voltaire was here so often that he actually had his own desk here. And he was often joined by the likes of Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Diderot, Rousseau, and many, many others.
Recently, for no reason at all, I asked Smith.
Hey, shut up with these commercials. God, YouTube.
Many others. Smith now changes his focus from the perfection of private nature to the improvement of public systems. These are the ideas that will take final form in his second book, The Wealth of Nations.
In France, Smith met many of the very early economists of his time, the so-called physiocrats.
who were theorizing interestingly on what he took to be the central problem of economics. How do you extend the wealth and power of a nation?
In Paris, Smith meets the leader of the physiocrats, François Quesnay. They take long walks and discuss novel ideas with other French intellectuals and economists.
They thought, like Smith, that the key to doing this in a modern world was liberalizing the market.
Both Smith and Quesnay are radical critics of the old mercantilist system of tariffs and monopolies. They both believe in free trade, and they both think that wealth is created by individuals and businesses, not by the government. Like Smith, the physiocrats apply the scientific method to the study of economics.
They coupled liberalizing the market with absolutely massive state intervention.
Quesnay believes that the French economy can only be rebuilt after radical changes in land ownership and inheritance law are imposed in a revolutionary manner from the top down. And this is where they part ways, because Smith thinks that revolutionary changes like that are politically disastrous. He is convinced that economic growth is dependent on progressive improvements and freeing up change at the bottom. Smith thinks that markets governed by civil society are much better than a revolution to improve the lot of the common man. Years later, the terror of the French Revolution will bear him out. For now, he finds a perfect example of progressive improvement in a method of industrial production that has fascinated many French Enlightenment thinkers. Ah, there it is, Diderot's famous print of a pin factory.
One man draws out the wire, another straightens it, a third cuts it.
There are dozens of stages involved in making pins, from straightening out the iron to flattening it to sharpening it, and so forth and so on and so on.
The pin factory becomes Smith's most famous example of how division of labor can create large-scale voluntary cooperation between people specializing in different tasks.
What Adam Smith suggested was when you divide the labor of a particular task among many people, the overall productivity goes up.
If you want to know the state of a nation's economy, look at the stage of its division of labor.
The more division of labor, the more productivity, the more prosperity. That means that the larger the market, the more prosperity.
Smith doesn't conceive of division of labor. His great contribution is to show how necessary it is for widespread prosperity, and that the roles we play in that division must constantly change according to our skills, the demand for them, and the competition we face. From the hustle and bustle and glamour of Paris, Smith returns home to the quiet of Kirkcaldy to settle down and develop ideas for his next book.
The deal with the Duke of Buccleuch means that he doesn't need to worry about paid labor anymore. He is his own man financially.
This gives him the opportunity to finish The Wealth of Nations and to define many of the economic principles that will stand the test of time and usher in the modern world.
He is reading voraciously. It's intense writing, rewriting over a 3-4 year period.
We know that after a hard day's work, Smith occasionally visited the Path Tavern to exchange stories and raise a glass or two. Established in 1750, it was just a few blocks from his home. Hi, how are you doing?
Fine, how are you today?
Great, thanks.
It's lovely.
Could I have a glass of claret, please?
Yes, of course you can.
His drink of choice is claret, and even in a simple glass of wine, he sees an economic principle.
It is the maxim of every prudent master of a family never to attempt to make at home what it will cost him more to make than to buy.
Never to make at home what is cheaper to buy elsewhere. And that was certainly true of wine in Smith's day. In Scotland, the land lacks the chalky limestone and gravelly soils that lend so many flavors to the wines of France. Even more, it's too cold and wet to grow good wine grapes here. In Smith's day, like today, most good wine drunk in Scotland is imported from France. It's reasonably priced, readily available, and tasty. So when it comes to wine, France has a competitive advantage. It's nearly impossible to produce fine wines in Scotland. But the Scottish soil is perfect for something else. Could I have a Balvenie, please?
Certainly.
Although the Scottish soil, or terroir, is inhospitable for the growing of grapes for wine, it's perfect for growing barley.
and malted barley is the major ingredient in single malt Scotch whisky. The moral of the story? Do what you do best and trade for the rest. Sure, the best wines from France cost a fortune, but so do the best single malts.
The essential thing about the free market is that it is voluntary trade between different people, voluntary exchange.
What we're doing is looking at each other as potential partners, as peers, not as enemies. You're my opportunity, not my enemy. So Smith saw the market economy as extending the frontiers of opportunity for everyone, including and especially the least among us.
Andrew, I just took this off your wall. That is mine. This question's incorrectly. I'm going to sell it on recording. Wait.
Smith knew that moving products to supply people with what they needed and wanted from around the world is a complicated process. Too complicated even for the most powerful government to manage. But he saw it as a natural function of a free market.
If you make that into a system, whereby it's not just you and me, but it's millions and millions of people all trading with each other, exchanging things that they produce, then that is an extremely efficient system.
It's all highly organized, not from the
He's
top,
in
from below.
Scotland right now.
It's the result of millions of people acting in their individual interests. Have you ever noticed that when it's raining, there's someone there selling umbrellas? And when you're at the beach, it's easy to find sunglasses and suntan lotion. Adam Smith told us why.
It is not from the
I love this one.
the brewer or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own interest. We address ourselves not to their humanity, but to their self-love.
By self-love, Smith means that sellers want to earn a living in order to support their families. To do that, they make the products that they think you and I will want to buy. Not because anyone tells them to, but because it's in their best interest.
Saves law.
So for Smith, what he saw was not mutual selfishness. What he saw was mutual respect, which is an entirely different moral paradigm.
Here's how it works. The prices we're willing to pay send key signals, and Smith used a baker as an example. Hi, this all looks delicious. Could I have a cup of coffee?
Yeah,
And a scone, please? Thank you. But let's say we all want scones, and the baker keeps running out. Well, then she can charge a bit more. Seeing the demand and money to be made, other bakers will start offering scones. All throughout the supply line, people spring into action. Farmers see that bakers are buying wheat, so they plant their fields and up production. Truckers see money to be made in delivering wheat to bakers, so they buy trucks and hire drivers. Thank you. So we vote with our wallets, and all around the world people spring into action to satisfy our demands. No one orders them to do this, but every purchase sends a message. As the supply increases, competition forces prices down. Fewer bakers bake scones and things stabilize as supply meets demand dynamically and automatically. This all happens without government intervention, without any trade commissar or
Invisible
manual
hand.
systems dictating quotas. This is Smith's invisible hand at work. It guides large businesses and even a small baker. Just as the impartial spectator summarizes much of the theory of moral sentiments, the invisible hand summarizes much of the wealth of nations.
He is in this, as in many other cases, led by an invisible hand to promote an end, which was no part of his intention.
When the baker sees that we want to buy bread, she makes the bread so she can make a living. And the other side of the coin is that we get bread. And it's a beautiful place, welcoming, friendly. There's more to competition than price alone.
One of Smith's great contributions to humanity is his realization that things didn't have to be planned in order to be orderly.
He believed that many complex systems can be generated by local behavior. They don't have to be, and actually can't be, created from the top down.
If you just left people to their own devices in what he called the system of natural liberty, that people will find ways of working with each other and cooperating with each other and collaborating with each other.
Smith thought that entrepreneurs and businesses create wealth, but don't get the idea that he was an apologist for all business. On the contrary, he saw how many businessmen were drawn to create monopolies and deceive the public interest for their own benefit. And that is precisely why he argued
for free competition and free trade. Greedy businessmen who try to rob consumers by raising prices or lowering quality would be ruined if the consumers were allowed to turn to another competitor. And that is why Smith thought that the government shouldn't be pro-business, it should be pro-market.
I think probably the biggest misperception people have about Smith is that he advocated some kind of extreme selfishness or greed.
Smith recognized selfishness for what it is, something that's unattractive when we see it, and something that's unhealthy when we experience it.
This is my point on electric cars. What is he saying? He's saying, I want scones, I want donuts, I want bread, and they make it. Nobody is saying I want an electric car. This is where I get all my thoughts, right? You react to the consumer, right? We produce goods because our skill. So in finance, or if I'm working at a needle shop or doing the airplane wings and everything, I get paid and then I consume. And what I choose is what you make. You don't go ahead and the government try to control it saying, we're going to make electric cars. Nobody wants one. Earlier in the show, Bobby, I'm pointing out where electric car sales are, and nobody can sell any. And basically, there's no demand. You cannot push the consumer to buy what you want him to buy. He has to make the determination. I want a scone. I want a golf club. I want a basketball. And then you make it. You make what he's going to consume. And then the prices dictate. And if there's big money to be made, there's competition. This is how the market works. Keep the government the fuck out. Get JP Morgan out with look what he's doing to gold. It's not free market. He's sitting there keeping the price down. I mean, that is just absurd. Adam Smith would kill him. But that's what we're trying to hold against. Luke. Hey, the Philadelphia gold guy. Hey, Luke. Luke is the guy I met in Barcelona. And I was talking gold to somebody, and he was listening in. And then he asked me, and I gave him the card and everything. So welcome here, Luke. Right now I'm doing Adam Smith because we're just talking about economics. And I find if I show Adam Smith, everybody goes, wow, yeah, I get that. I can explain it, but when you see like something like this, you can get a better grasp on it. Again, gold, real quickly, the BRICS has said, yes, we're going to have a gold-backed currency, and it'll probably be, it was already introduced. So buy your gold and silver as quick as you can, because once that dollar comes out backed by gold and silver, it's all over. You'll see $40,000-$50,000 an ounce gold, $2,000-$3,000 an ounce silver, because that's the catalyst that the demand will go up. JP Morgan. Now there was something. That's what I wanted to show you. Pete, the banks are starting to get out of the derivative market. As they said, they're cashing out of the casino. So the asses that are keeping these shorts down, who keep making these derivative fake gold and silver prices by the paper, not by physical demand, like I showed you on the Montana rookie card, $100,000. Oh, by the way, I got an email from the guy who's selling it for $99,000. He says, "Would you want to take $95,000?" And I'm like just laughing, going, "No, I'm not interested." Have I been where, Bobby? Luke, by the way, this is Bobby Bonilla. He played for the Mets and the Pirates, just FYI. I hope you had a good trip to Barcelona. It was good, Luke. My back was bothering me. It's finally better now. I'm doing stretches in the pool, and it's much better. When is the gold market going to blow up? I just told you. BRICS announced they're backing the new dollar by gold and silver. Here it goes. You guys met in Spain and you told them about the show. Yeah, I was talking about gold with somebody, and we're waiting for the plane in Barcelona, and he was going. We're both going to Philadelphia, and then I was coming to Detroit. I think he was coming to Detroit too. Welcome to the class, Luke. Hope you get some medals, buddy. Yeah, it's Bobby Bow. And we talk, the 420 is not his batting average, which it should have been. We were hoping it was the Bobby Bonilla 420 was actually his batting average. But, Bobby, I'm really shocked you're not playing now. When I look at the Tiger roster and there's 7 guys hitting under 200, I'm pretty sure you could hit 250 on a bad day. All right. Anyway, so it all comes back to communism. The market's trying to control it. The government's trying to control the market. And Austrian economics, capitalism, laissez-faire, free market, we're making the decisions. And you can see what's more explosive. In the first half hour, we talk about Hong Kong, how Hong Kong and China grew because they went to Austrian economics, free market, low taxes, good money, good laws, and all of them boomed. I have a bunch of medals, Bobby. Really can't believe it's you. Yeah, it took me a while to realize it was Bobby too, but yeah, it's him. It's definitely Bobby Bow. Now we show him his rookie card. Unfortunately, he was only 400 or 500 home runs away from having a expensive rookie card, but should have done those steroids, Bobby. All right, let's continue with Adam Smith.
Invisible hand working in small marketplaces.
Hey, this YouTube. Shut up.
Invisible hand working in small marketplaces. But in the wider countryside, kings and queens had long sold monopolies and lavished gifts of land upon their favorites. In Adam Smith's day, castles like this dotted the Scottish landscape. Their owners were nobles, devoted to a life of ease and pleasure, and the legal system was structured and enforced to keep it that way.
Of course, those people had enormous power, not just economic power, but also political power as well.
Inheritance laws forced family estates into the hands of the eldest surviving male, and that kept them intact instead of being divided among the siblings.
Among tradesmen, you had the guilds who were deliberately trying to get regulations in their favor to keep out competition. So the ordinary working person
Sounds like J.P. Morgan.
was very much left out by this system.
Laws and government may be considered in this, and indeed in every case, as a combination of the rich to oppress the poor, and to preserve to themselves the inequality of the goods.
People used to think that wealth is the treasure you keep safely locked up behind thick walls.
In the 18th century, many people thought that what wealth was gold.
That what we needed to do is to export a lot, and then we would get money from other people and import as little as we could.
It was a zero-sum worldview, where one country's gain had to be another's loss. So they created a legal framework that was a lot like their castles. High walls all around, and a drawbridge to keep competition and imports out.
Of course, Smith said that was all wrong, that both sides benefit from a transaction, both the buyer and the seller, and that if you really want to increase prosperity, what you should do is to increase trade as much as possible, rather than try to prevent one side of it coming into you.
Smith's detailed study of markets leads him to realize that it's the labor of a nation's inhabitants that is the major source of wealth.
If you read The Wealth of Nations, the very first sentence, he says, the wealth of a nation is fundamentally the productive labor of its people. In other words, it's gross national product, as we would call it these days. Absolutely breathtaking.
And in the second sentence, he talks about gross national product per capita. In the third sentence, he talks about productivity. These are completely new concepts.
That is how you grow. That is how you acquire wealth. It isn't the amount of silver that you can get into your vaults. It is the productive capacity of your citizens.
Before Smith, almost every school of thought taught people that one's own interest is always contrary to someone else's.
Just a second, Luke. I'll take a break.
But Smith changes everything. If trade increases our wealth, then other people, other groups, and other nations are not by nature our enemies. Tying the
As we have wars now, I'm assuming they're announced that the gold-backed system is currencies coming In August, they're doing in Johannesburg, all the BRICS are meeting to announce the skull-back currency, and they're working on it, which should, I don't know what else you're looking at. So I'm expecting it to, by the end of the year, I would have thought after this announcement, it would have gone through the roof this week already. Like, what are you waiting for? But yeah, it's going to be very, very soon, Luke, more than longer. I mean, don't wait to buy it. Be happy if you can even find it. I know my gold guy has been out of gold, and then he gets a few in, and only in when people sell the gold to get money because they need to pay their bills. Silver he's got. It's been nip and tuck. He's ran out, and now he got more. But don't even look at it like that. The first thing is, right, this is the value of the dollar now. So you're getting out of the dollar to get into the gold and silver. So if you just keep your mind on, I got to get rid of this. That's why I say this is the Titanic. I did a Titanic one you should see, Luke. This is the Titanic. It hit the iceberg, but it took a few hours to sink. This is what's left of the dollar. It's worth about 2 cents. But if you can get rid of this and buy silver for $25 an ounce, go and buy it. This is my point. You can't lose. Silver's not going under 23. It's more than likely going to 2,000, just based on the demand. And then if you got a gold-backed currency, that means silver's also backing the currency. But your other choices, you have this and you have gold and silver. The only competition of this, there's no other dollar you can buy. You're not going to buy a Swiss franc, a British pound, a yen, a yuan, a ruble, or a euro, right? All this is paper crap. It's paper. It's value. There's no value. So if you have an opportunity to get rid of this and buy gold and silver, you're way ahead right away, because this is going to zero. It's hit the iceberg. It's sinking. People aren't realizing, we realize it, but most of America hasn't realized it yet. They got their head in the sand. Oh, look at Microsoft. I showed earlier in the show, they're laying off another 10,000 people. Well, you don't do that if the economy is good. You got high interest rates, which means you have high inflation. You have nobody's buying cars. Housing values are dropping, but interest rates are going up. As I explained, if I'm going to lend Bobby $100,000 for a house and the dollar's inflated, I got to charge 20% interest to get $100,000 and let's say 5,000. So let's say I want to get 105,000 for my 100. I got to charge him 20% interest. Otherwise, if I don't charge him that, I'm only going to get about $85,000 in real money back from the 100,000 I gave him. Why would I want to lose 15,000? So hence, I don't even want to lend. I want to buy gold and silver, and then I just put it away, and I don't have to worry. It's never going to zero. And as I always say, just watch the attack on Wall Street, which I was watching again today. I love watching that when a guy starts shooting everybody. It's just so satisfying. But if the guy would have bought $60,000 worth of gold and silver, he'd have been worth $100,000 2 or 3 years later. His wife would have been okay, and he never would have killed anybody. But since he listens to the stockbrokers who puts him in real estate trust, even though nobody could afford the mortgages, he ends up getting fucked. Oh, your 60 grand's worth nothing. Not only that, you owe us 60 grand. How the fuck do you lose that? Then in the movie, the guy says, well, you played the game. You invested. That's what, you win some, you lose some. Not with gold. If he's in gold with the 60 grand, he cannot lose. And this is my whole thesis. If you were to buy $100,000 worth of gold, which is what I've done, I can't lose. I have zero risk. It'll never go to zero. It's not going to drop. In fact, with BRICS, it's going to be worth 50, 60 times what I paid for it. That's the point of the gold and silver. This is going to zero. There's no way you can stop it because this is printed. This gets printed like Topps baseball cards or Pro Set to zero. That's why the Barry Sanders Pro Set rookie card's worth $100. So when you overprint, you devalue it. So do you want to hold dollars? Do you think this is going up? So what do the idiots do? They put the money in the bank and what in a money market, gaining 2%. And so you put 100,000 in to gain 2%. The problem is your 100,000 is only going to be worth 90 or 80 soon, and then eventually this goes to zero. Boom, it's gone. But if I have gold and silver, it can never go to zero because I have it. Nobody can fuck my gold and silver up because I have the coin, and you can't fuck with it. This, what are they doing? These idiots are printing this and printing and printing, and they printed 10 trillion of this, and now they got to print Social Security and welfare and Medicaid. Print. They're printing to give the Ukraine money. So it ends up where you can't just keep printing. The debts, I guess, went up $1 trillion. I was reading today in the last month, since they didn't put a debt ceiling on it, it's now 33 trillion. You can't just fuck around and owe $33 trillion and have no repercussions. So this is going to zero. So the thought isn't, yeah, well, you're okay, Luke. It'll probably be worth 2 or 3 million soon, and then it won't be worth anything in dollars. It'll have its own value. So as I tease Bobby, I'm going to have 1 ounce of gold, and I'm going to buy his house. That's what the difference is. Gold has its own value. It's not supposed to be priced in dollars. So yeah, you're okay. Don't worry about it, but I would get more. It depends on your value. Depends on what you have. If you have $1 million, there was a guy on the class from Canada, and he had a $500,000 house, and he tells me, "Oh, I just bought a $7,000 house and put $400,000 down on the house." You got to be out of your mind. You had 400 grand. You should have walked and bought 400 grand in gold. That'll hold. The house is the Canada's economy. It's socialist. It's losing. The housing values are dropping. Now, yes, they are going up, but it's fake, and they won't stay up. And then it doesn't matter because it's in Canadian dollars. So 700,000 in Canadian dollars is worth about as much as this. Nothing. So what you're trying to do is get out of this. So the game is get out of this. Because if you hold it, it's going to zero. And I laugh at Warren Buffett and Gates. Buffett has $2 billion. He's saving it so when the prices drop, he thinks he's going to buy. What he doesn't realize is his $2 billion times zero will be worthless. And if it's worthless, 2 billion times zero is zero. So he's going to lose $2 billion. I can't wait. I'm so excited. But if you have gold and silver, you're fine. I mean, that's really the key. I was going over some rookie cards, so I'll show you. We'll get back to Adam Smith. I got one more section to show you. So for people not really understanding, I come to this conclusion for you. I bought a Joe Montana rookie card for $100 in 1991. Did I ever in my wildest dreams think it would be worth $99,000 for a PSA 10 1981 Joe Montana rookie card? Never in my wildest dreams. And I didn't buy it for this reason. Now I got to get it graded. It's at least a 9. It's really crisp. It's just a tiny bit off center. But did you ever think you would see Joe Montana rookie card worth $99,000? And people say, well, the card market sucks. Not if you have a PSA 10 and not if you have Joe Montana. And that's a no-brainer. So then we get to You ever hear of Jim Brown? Oh, here's a Jim Brown rookie card. It's not even a PSA 10, it's a PSA 8. $119,000. Are you out of fucking kidding me? So people are paying. The biggest question I get here is, well, when gold goes up, do you think I'll be able to sell it? Well, do I think you'll be able to sell it? Yeah, I kind of do. People are paying. There's a Walter Payton rookie card I showed, 125,000. Earl Campbell rookie card, 100,000. Joe Green is way up there. Lawrence Taylor's way up there. Jerry Rice is also 100 grand. The odd part is always is only worth like 50. But because the Rice and the Montana were a little off center, so when it's very hard to find a nice centered one. That's why. So it's very limited, which now gets the supply and demand. The supply is limited, so the demand is through the roof. Now let's carry it on to gold. With gold, you have incredibly low supply. Bitcoin runs around. We got 21 million. Well, here's where my argument is. I can get the Montana rookie card. It's 100 grand now. I guarantee you there's not 25 PSA 10 rookies because I went 6 months at card shows looking for Montana that I couldn't find centered. Mine's pretty centered, but I couldn't find like that. And same thing with Rice, same thing with Walter Payton. I finally did find a really good Walter Payton, really good Bobby Orr, a Mantle. It's a 68 Mantle. That's fucking perfect. And so my point is, first of all, to answer your question, do you think the $100 I spent on the Montana would be worth $99,000? Never in my wildest, and that wasn't even the point of buying it. I bought it for my collection, baseball cards, football cards. I was smart enough to go after the superstars, to go after the rookie cards, and to get them in gem mint condition as best as I could. I have a nice 65 Willie Mays. That's beautiful. Hank Aaron, that's beautiful. Unfortunately, the Bonds, McGuire, I don't know why the steroids is such a big thing. Bonds hits 780 home runs, but he's got no fucking value because he did steroid. I mean, it's insane. Anyway, so when you're buying your gold at $2,000 an ounce, but that's a fixed price. That's not at a market. This is free market. Some guy goes, Jim Brown, 119,000. Somebody bought it at 119. So it's a free market. In COMEX, they are printing derivatives, keeping the price down. So the $2,000 is not the free market Joe Montana card, 99,000. It's a bullshit $2,000. That's why I tell you 50,000 for the gold. The demand's got to be far more than the Montana. It's limited, far more than a Bitcoin, but there's no exact, like Bitcoin says 21 million. I got a Brady rookie that says 600, and I got an Eiserman that says 1, but I don't know how much gold there is, but I guarantee you there's more demand than there is ounces, and that will make the price go up. How did the Montana get to 99,000? Because there's probably 25 PSA 10s, and there's probably 1,000 or 5,000 Montana fans that are willing to spend 100 grand on his rookie card that's PSA 10 because they know it's extremely limited. So when we carry that forward to why I just showed you Adam Smith, that's what it's all about, the invisible hand, the free market. The problem is when you get JP Morgan involved in the fucking gold price and the silver price with these phony derivatives keeping the price down. But look what's happening. All the central banks are buying it. So they're buying tons and tons and tons of gold and silver. And the central banks own it probably because it's so cheap. I go every week or every other week I get paid. I go buy at least 20 ounces of silver. I'm up to almost 600 now. And when I met you, I probably had 200. It's just it's so cheap. It's 20, let's say it's $25 for 20, it's $500 roughly. $500 is a fucking, it's nothing, especially inflated dollars. as this becomes more worthless, silver should be at least $100 an ounce, probably more like two, because it should be 10 to 1 to gold. But gold at 2,000 should be at least 20,000 right now. And so I understand it because I understand football. Check out my weekends on Larry. I did a college football on Saturday. I go through every game, first week's games. You'll love the analysis. And then I did pros on Sunday. Check those out. Anyway, because I have that analytical ability and I'm an INFJ, which means I'm very powerful, and understanding free markets, I know the value of the gold's not 2,000. And I know they can't hold it at 2,000 only for so long. But what is the change? And we see the change is BRICS. The Chinese, the Russians, the Indians, the Saudis, South Africans, Brazil, and Argentina said, fuck this. We had enough dealing with the U.S. We want our own money backed by gold, and it's powerful enough that they can't go to war with everybody, although I'm sure they're trying to do that. I don't care if they're for the reserve currency, because if the currency is worthless, it doesn't fucking matter if you're the reserve currency, if it's worth zero, which it is. All this shit that's paper is paper. It's worthless. This has no value, but people don't know it. It's legal tender. So the government says, if I go to Target or I go to Kroger's, you can mark your prices. And then if I give you a $100 bill or my debit card, you have to accept it for the goods. If I was doing now, what I would do is what I do with Teaserking. I get a sale. I run and buy gold with it. I don't want the money. I don't want it in the bank. Most of my money's in my safe. I don't trust the bank. There's a bank in Australia that's not giving the money out. You have 20 grand in the bank. You cannot get your money out. You're fucked. Basically, you can still use it. They haven't taken it, but like, oh, okay, I'll make my mortgage payment, grocery store, use your debit card, you're okay. But you cannot go to the bank and get cash out of the bank with it. It's unbelievable. I have one Bitcoin too. It should do well. I love watching Bobby Bow at Three Rivers. Early, the bumblebees, yep. Now, Bobby and Barry, they lit it on. Bobby, I'm surprised you didn't go to San Francisco with Barry. Do you have any gold, silver miners too? I have a bunch looking good right now. As BRICS goes, gold and silver spot goals, miners probably boom. I agree with you, except you're too early. The stock market's going to crash because of all the problems with the interest rates and the inflation. So what is inflation? You're printing the money, making it worthless. So as you print the money and you make it worthless, it takes more dollars to buy your gold, your silver, your houses, and everything else. Be careful with Newmont Mining. I'm hearing they have some sort of problems. I don't know what it is, but I've been out of my gold mine stocks for 2 years now. I would just rather buy the coins. I'd rather buy the physical than the stocks, because the market's going to crash, because you have $25 trillion from foreign investment in the U.S., China, UK, Germany, Russia, and what they own is houses and they own stock. And as they realize the dollar is going crap, they're going to pull their money. Well, if everybody sells their stock, the stocks are going to crash. And as they start crashing, it's a domino effect. It's going to keep crashing. So, yes, I do like the miners, but at this point, I just let me buy the gold, and I'm just letting the stocks drop, because the whole stock market is going to collapse, because earnings are going to shit. As I said earlier, Microsoft's laying off more work. They already laid off a couple thousand. They're laying off more. Facebook, Tesla, they're all laying off. Well, that's not good. That means the economy's crashing. What the fuck's going to happen with stocks? They're going to go, but it's not like they're going to choose and say, well, let's all go into the gold stocks. Everybody's just going to dump their stocks. They're going to make 1929 look like a cookout. So they're going to be dumping and dumping and dumping. So we're I'm 5 steps ahead of everybody. That's what you got to understand. So we're already out. We've been out of the stock market for 2 years waiting for the crash. I've been buying gold because it's so fucking cheap. I know it's not the real price. So let's go to the Montana card, 99,000. That's what we know it is. But let's say we could get it for 2,000. Would you buy that Montana card for 2,000? You would, knowing it's 99,000, but you wouldn't if you didn't know it was 99,000. So translated to gold, gold's 2,000 an ounce. Do we think gold's going to the 99,000 Montana's at? Hell yes. At least a 50, but we know 2,000 is way too low. The most important thing is the demand. So as Adam Smith showed at the scones shop, as more people wanted it, they raised the price. Anytime you have heavy demand, price goes up. Wait a minute. All the central banks are buying gold and the price is not going up. How the fuck can that happen? So we know the real price is just ready to explode. JP Morgan's doing their best, but I'll show you a video. They're saying that the banks are starting to leave the casino. The ones that are shorting it, keeping the price down, are now getting the fuck out. So nobody's there to keep it down. I saw it went up $10, $15 today, but that's COMEX. This will be revalued at 10 to 20,000. And as people see it, that's when the floodgates open, because 340 million Americans are too fucking stupid to understand what's happening to the dollar. Nobody understands inflation, and nobody understands the price of gold. They all think, oh, it's 2,000. It doesn't go anywhere. Why would I buy it? It doesn't move. That's the sentiment is, well, it's stupid to buy it. I'll buy Microsoft because it always goes up, or I'll buy Amazon or whatever. They don't always go up. And so therefore, people are lazy and stupid, and they don't understand anything. They just, I'll buy stocks, they go up. Tesla stocks going up. Can somebody explain to me? They can't sell a fucking car, only in China. Nobody wants electric cars. There's no demand for it. Why is your money in Tesla stock selling cars? And it's all he's doing is making the car. He's not selling the car. So it's like he produced the cars and he shipped them out and he did record, but nobody's buying them. The only people buying them are in China, real cheap, right? He's lowered his price. That means his profit is nothing. So he's not making any money. So he sells, it's like me selling my Canadian Club. This is Bobby's favorite. So I sell this for $20. Well, it cost me 30. So I could sell 1 million bottles, but guess what? I'm losing $10 a bottle. That's what Tesla's doing. He's just shipping them out, but his only buyer is China, which I guarantee you he's not making any money in China. And that's the problem. So I guarantee you the demand for gold is through the roof. All the central banks are buying it. Silver's so cheap. Everybody's buying it. So we know that the biggest thing we got is demand. And all the banks are buying it. All the central banks have bought gold. China has 60,000 tons now, Russia 20,000, and they need to go up because China's going broke. Their economy is communistic. Government trying to control the market, which we just heard from Adam Smith. The individual has to control it. So they're all fucked up. Russia's got 20,000 tons, and they're in the middle of a war, so we know they're not doing well. Their ruble's up to 89 or something. So what's happening is they're going broke, and they're sitting on all this gold. So if I'm China with 60,000 tons of gold and I'm going broke, I need gold to go up, and I need to start selling my gold. I can sell there's 32,000 ounces in 1 ton. They got 60,000 tons. So now it's the banks, it's several banks and other companies that have it. It's not the central bank. That's what everybody goes, well, the central bank of China's got 2,000 tons. The whole fucking country's got 60,000. And believe me, the government controls it. It's communist. So they need the price to go up because they're going broke. That's the key to this. So if we kind of now have China and Russia on our side, they want it to go up. We want it to go up. So you just be patient. But the wheels are in motion because now we see BRICS announce we got a gold. We got gold. Let's finish the end of this Adam Smith, and then I'll show you the gold video. 45.
Look like much today. But in the early 19th century, this was a bustling, wide expanse of docks and port facilities owned by the East India Company. This used to be the home port of one of the most powerful organizations on earth. Now, it's just filled with mud. Smith saw the East India Company as the epitome of monopolistic evil.
JP Morgan.
Britain's National Maritime Museum in Greenwich has the story.
During menopause, estrogen is going to drop.
Shut the fuck up. I hate this YouTube. The commercials come at the wrong time.
Galleries of this World Heritage Site is an amazing repository of the seafaring heritage of the British Empire, filled with treasures large and small, including a superb exhibit of the East India Company.
I think what surprises people when they come into this gallery is just A, how large the company was, and B, how long it lasted. I mean, this is something that's dominating Asian trade for almost 250 years, essentially.
Robert Blythe is the senior curator of world history here at the museum.
The East India Company actually becomes an Asian power. It has its own army, its own navy, and of course, its own merchant ships are armed as well.
In fact, it was one of the most powerful organizations on earth. In Smith's day, the company accounted for much of the world's trade and had its own army of almost 70,000 soldiers. It ruled all of India.
So the company is actually minting its own coinage in India in order to strike some of its deals.
So an official coat of arms and minting your own coins, it seems like they're almost spontaneously, without intention, moving from being a company to becoming a government.
Absolutely. This is monopoly. The company has real power. So this is company as government.
The story of the East India Company highlights how easy it is to divert public resources for private gain.
If you think of Adam Smith's ideas of a free market, of free trade, the company is the absolute antithesis of that.
Smith denounced the company as a blood-stained monopoly, burdensome, useless, and responsible for grotesque massacres in Bengal. Its managers and officers became incredibly wealthy, but the company itself was never very profitable.
When it's not making a profit, when military conquest in India really is a drain on its finances, the British government has to step in to prop up the East India Company. Essentially, the company becomes too big to fail.
In order to bail out the company, Parliament passed the Tea Act of 1773, allowing the company to sell its tea to the American colonies on privileged terms at a tax rate lower than the local tea merchants.
Be with you in a second,
This, of course,
Luke.
led to the Boston Tea Party.
So it is East India Company tea that is thrown into the harbour at Boston. Now, it might be too much of an exaggeration to say that the East India Company's monopoly caused the American Revolution, but definitely a factor in it.
Smith finds himself having to think about how do you manage empire in the modern age. But even worse, there is the problem of America.
What to do about those discontented, troublesome American colonies who have begun to demand more influence or even independence?
Smith thought that the Americans were victims of the mercantilist system, that Britain was trying to extract wealth from America and make sure that no wealth went from Britain to America.
Smith gets caught up in this debate and becomes closely involved.
The Parliament of Great Britain insists upon taxing the colonies, and they refuse to be taxed by a parliament in which they are not represented.
Smith is widely respected, very well connected, and feels that the way Britain deals with the American colonies is very important, not just for the colonies, but for Britain as well.
Is a commonwealth, a free trade zone with America, is that possible?
Because he believed that the best for both sides would be open and free trade.
This is one of the most hotly debated and difficult problems that any British government has ever had to face.
Smith listens to the debates on the American issue in the British Parliament. He even lobbies politicians, urging them to let go of their mercantilist thinking and keep Americans on friendly terms with open trade and migration. In fact, he speculates that America could one day be the seat of the capital of Great Britain.
So that's the point. You keep it as capitalism, and you deal, keep it open. There are customers. You never go to war. War is expensive, costly, and there's no winner in it. So Britain fucked up, and we became us. But what did we do? We took Adam Smith, and that's how we created America, was Adam Smith. No central bank, gold and silver, free laws, little taxes. That's why we boomed until these idiots came in 1913. Let's do a central bank and income tax. That's what fucked us up. All right, so let's go. I want to show you.
As long as you have the GCP account, you should be able to follow the tutorial to create your.
With countries lining up to join.
Today, a Russian state-run media channel with one of its foreign embassies as source added to building speculation and reports that Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, also known as BRICS nations, will introduce a new trading currency linked to gold shortly.
The BRICS group is set to introduce a new currency backed by gold, in contrast to the credit-backed US dollar, with countries lining up to join the growing initiative.
So that's COMEX can only exist if they can keep writing the derivatives, but now it's getting where competition's coming in saying, no, we need the price of gold to go up. We need to back our dollars with gold. We're going on the gold standard. We need a much higher goal. We need a $20,000 an ounce gold price, not $2,000. So that's what's going to push it and break COMEX. So that should be happening. So the only gold miner I had was Newmont, but right now I am just buying as much gold and silver as I can and locking it in my safe, and it's much safer than the money in a bank. There you go, Luke. Those were the days batting behind Barry. I'm in most juniors, mostly juniors. I like Tavi Costa from Crescott Capital. I don't know who that is. When will COMEX break? Very, very soon. It doesn't matter because now that BRICS has announced it, they're gonna need a higher value of gold. Even if COMEX doesn't break, and they go, well, we need gold at 20,000 an ounce. COMEX now will be 20,000 an ounce, and they'll do their stupid derivatives, but it's slowly dying out. I'll show you another video where they're actually starting to break up. The banks that play are getting out. Will the U.S. be forced to a gold standard as well? It'll be the only way they can compete. So this cannot compete with gold because this has no value. This is toilet paper. So the only way the U.S. is going to survive, they're going to come out. So everybody is worried about barter. No, the U.S. is going to come out with a new dollar because this is nobody's going to want this. And to be trusted, the U.S. will have to come out with a gold-backed currency. Or why would you want it if you can get the BRICS dollars? Why would you want this dollar? Why would you want a worthless dollar, or a dollar backed by $20,000 an ounce gold? I mean, it's very simple. Here's where Adam Smith comes in, is the competition. Gold, this can't compete with gold. Gold wins hands down 100% of the time. So as this goes out, they're going to replace it because you need a medium of exchange. You need to go to Kroger's and buy your groceries. And it's funny when I hear It's go, well, I'll go with a 1/14 ounce of silver and buy milk and bread. And like, look, idiot. You're gonna sell your silver and you're gonna put it in your bank and you're gonna use your debit card. That's how you're gonna buy it. That's how you're gonna use your silver. It's just like if you own the Montana card. So you got a $99,000 Montana card. You're not going to the grocery store with it. You maybe go to the Mercedes dealer and say, I'll take the Mercedes with this card, and you show him the eBay price, he might take it. With gold, he will take it because that's the only real money. I go to a Toyota to get my oil changed. I sell him football picks. He gives me free oil changes. And I talk to the sales manager, and I say, well, I'm going to come in with an ounce of gold and buy an expensive Toyota. And last time he said, well, you'll have to get cash first. Now when I went recently, he's like, yeah, I'll take the gold. And he's in Bitcoin, and I explained to him that Bitcoin's priced in dollars. Gold isn't. Gold's priced in gold, right? And so therefore, your Bitcoin's going to go to zero, I guess. The Mano card and the Montana card will hold because you have the card, and it has a value. Bitcoin's value is in this. So what is Bitcoin's going to be worth? Can it translate to a gold price? This is what Bitcoin needs. If it wants to be successful, I would back Bitcoin by gold. Then you don't care about the dollar going to zero, and Bitcoin could get a value. But I don't consider 21 million Bitcoins limited. I would just assume you'd be so much better off buying gold because gold hasn't gone up. Gold's been depressed at 2,000. Wait till it goes to 50,000. Bitcoin is at market. The Montana card's at market. It's already gone, right? It's up here. Gold's still sitting here. Silver's even ridiculous at 24. So you know that's going to go to 2,000. That's a no-brainer. And once they start going, there's going to be everybody's going to jump in, and that's really the key, right? Silver's 24, nobody wants it. It doesn't move. It's it's not money, and I'll buy Microsoft. But as soon as silver hits 200, everybody goes, oh, it does move, and it is silver, and it is money. Then all of a sudden it goes from 200 to 500. That's where I get 2,000. It'll be 1/10 of gold because that's the normal rate of silver is 1/10 of gold out of the ground. So this is why I buy 20 ounces when I go, because when gold hits 30,000, silver should hit 3,000. I'm gonna walk in with my 20 and go, may I have 2 ounces of gold, please? And then I walk out with $60,000 worth of gold that I paid $500 for. That's the real plan. And I have every confidence that will exactly happen. Now, I don't know when, and I don't care when. It's something you can't predict. It's not like a football game. We know LSU plays Florida State the first week, September 2nd. We know that happens. So then it's, okay, we're going to get an answer September 2nd. We don't know when the gold happens. All we know is by BRICS announcing a gold standard, we're well on our way to what's happening. The problem is you've got the buffets and the Gates who have all this fiat money who don't want to see it go to zero. So they're all crying, oh my God, we can't let it go to zero. We're too stupid to buy gold. With that said, here's Russia and Chinese mafias going, fuck you, we want gold to go up, which will make this worthless because if it's in a free market, do you want gold or do you want this? And nobody's going to want this. Gold's going to blow up. This goes to zero, and Buffet and Gates go to zero, and we say goodbye to them. And that's really what we're kind of fighting is them also going, and JP Morgan, they're holding dollars. Why they're not buying gold? That they're just so stupid, or they think that COMEX will hold on and never blow up. But See, in the 50 years, you never had the competition of BRICS having a gold standard to blow it up. It's always been business as usual, JP Morgan price fixing, but it has gone from $35 to $800 to $1,500 to $2,000. It has gone, but not at free market. And that's the thing. So think of a balloon going in the air. That's the Montana, 99,000. You let it go to what the market says, but you're not letting gold go to the market. That's why we buy as much gold as we can, and we just say thank you. It's only 2,000 for something worth 20, 30,000 at least. And then when the dollar goes out, gold won't have a value in dollars. It'll have its own value in gold, and then we'll really be. Well, you want a house here? I got an ounce of gold. I'm going to buy that house, and that's what really is going to happen. Will the U.S. be forced to a gold standard? They'll have to. Does Bobby Ball have any Bitcoin? I don't believe so. I keep them in gold and silver. Gold and silver have been suppressed until JP Morgan let it go. JP Morgan does the derivatives with a few other, well, mostly them and the London LBMA, the London Bank of something of metals or whatever. So they play their little games. London's really controlling it, and JP Morgan controls COMEX. So they print derivatives and says, I'm selling 1 million ounces of gold, and they lower the price. The problem is they don't have any gold that they're selling. It's just paper derivative. And they do it to dilute it and keep the price down. Well, everybody and their mother is buying it because now everybody needs it because of all these dollars going away. All this inflation's happening everywhere. Euro, Japan, Switzerland, the UK, China, Russia. Every country has this shit, and every country's going broke. Look at Venezuela went, Turkey's in big trouble, Pakistan went, Sri Lanka went, Venezuela and Argentina, and then and Greece was the first. And Japan's in big trouble. The euro's going away. Now they'll come out with new dollars. You watch. They'll have a new euro, and they'll try to present it like, oh, this will be okay. But if it's still not backed by gold, it's still bullshit. Fiat currency is paper. Gold is the only thing. It's got to be backed by gold, or it's worthless. And people don't understand because it's been gold back for so long. Then in 71, Nixon takes us off, but nothing happens. Yeah, we see a little inflation and gas shortages in the 70s or 80s. You got to wait in line. Heavy inflation. We needed 20% interest rates, which, by the way, doesn't do anything. It sounds nice, but you could make interest rates 100%. It's not gonna bring back the dollar. The dollar, you printed 10 trillion, probably 20 trillion of these. So you've printed them out to no value. That's what you're doing. But yes, gold and silver have been suppressed since 1971 because Nixon didn't want all the countries. When it was Bretton Woods, the dollar was backed by gold. Everybody went through the U.S., Germany, Sweden, everything. And then when we got off of Bretton Woods, we no longer backed our dollar by gold, and all the countries knew what was going to happen and said, we want our gold then. Here's our money. Give us the gold. So Nixon kept the price at $35 to keep it cheap, I guess. Had it run, it had probably been $20,000 in 1971 already. As soon as it did, everybody would have wanted their gold, and he couldn't have done it. How soon will gold, silver break out? Luke, you keep asking me that question. I keep trying to answer it. We don't know, but we know that BRICS has made it where it's going to break out very soon. But again, it's sort of like, when will the Montana car be worth $99,000? Well, when I bought it in 1991 or 2 and it was $100, I would have thought you're crazy. But now it's $99,000. I don't know when it went along the stages to now it's worth a fortune. All I can tell you is gold will go up because of the inflation of the dollar, the currency going away, everybody getting out of the dollar and de-dollarizing. And the demand for gold's huge and the price is low. So as the demand keeps going, COMEX won't be able to keep faking it, running derivatives, and then it'll be reset, and then the floodgates will open. So it's soon, but again, what I'm trying to stress is you can't be in this because this is worth zero. So you got to get out of this. So you're holding it just to get out of that. So it's a win-win getting out of this and owning gold and silver. When it finally hits, the dollar will go out. You don't even care about that. You're waiting for when does gold have its own price. It won't be priced in dollars. It'll be priced in gold. That's what we're really waiting for. So you want to get out of the dollars, and so you buy gold and silver. You can buy the Montana card for $99,000. You can buy a Rolex, any asset. You want to buy real assets, but gold's the best because everybody will accept gold. Will I be able to give you a Montana card for your house? But if the gold's going for $99,000, you will take the gold. Everybody will take the gold, but everybody won't take the Montana. Though maybe they will. I mean, if you can show them eBay, it's worth $99,000. I bet something that's worth $75,000. You can say, I got the Montana card. I'll give it to you. It's worth $99. He goes on eBay, sees it's $99. He'll probably take it. I would. I mean, in a heartbeat, if I see it on eBay at $99. All right. The next thing is. Where is maybe I didn't. Yeah, here it is.
We have done a very serious scientific experiment here at Plato's Closet on how our employees.
Now, this is a very strange month where we saw almost 150 million ounces in open interest just disappear. And what was strange about it to me was the managed money that actually sold, 20 million plus.
38 million ounces. Sheckman believes that the silver held by Standard Chartered Bank will decrease significantly after the upcoming July deliveries. This situation is significant because it suggests that important players like the banks are leaving the market, indicating something big may happen. Standard Chartered Bank is likely to set the COMEX record for the highest fraction of shorts in an active month. After the first day, they delivered 89% of the metal sold on the July contract. Michael Lynch, in his tweet, mentioned that Standard Chartered Bank's blowout, short of at least 12 million ounces of silver, would likely set the COMEX record for a concentrated temporary position. What makes the situation particularly interesting is the fact that Standard Chartered Bank holds less than 5,000 ounces in its eligible account on the commodities exchange, which is even less than one contract. Sheckman interprets this as a clear indication that the bank is gradually withdrawing from the manipulated market. The decision of a prominent player like Standard Chartered Bank to sell or deliver all their holdings suggests that they may have realized that the game they have been playing is rapidly coming to an end. Now let's watch excerpts from Andy Sheckman's interview with Liberty and Finance.
There's your answer. So Standard Charter, who is a derivative player keeping the price down, is saying goodbye. The party's over. They realize that. So there you go. As they start exiting the casino and stop doing the derivatives because they're afraid they're going to get crushed. So that's a good answer for you to understand that they're the ones doing it, and they're saying, no, we can't make any more money. We're getting out. And so as they get out, there goes COMEX, and then we should really see gold. So between that happening, BRICS backing by gold, we're getting all these positive signs for us that the gold's going to go through the roof. And because once it starts, once everybody here realizes gold's at 20,000 an ounce, let's say it's 10,000 an ounce. Once people realize that it actually has a value, they dump their stocks, they get their money out of the bank, So people holding 500 grand at Wells Fargo, they're got to be shitting in their pants because not only is it inflated dollars, so it'll be worth 400 soon. Good luck getting it the fuck out of the bank. Oh, sorry, we don't have 500 grand to give you. So you're double, A, your money's losing, and B, can you get it out? So why go through all that risk? Even if you're getting it in a CD or money market and you're gaining 3%, the value of the money is dropping because of the inflation. Now this bullshit today, well, used cars are down, therefore inflation should be under 3%. That's a bunch of horse shit. Inflation is still 15, 20%. Now they can say that the sky is green, but we all know it's blue, but they can say it. So it's all a bunch of bullshit. Inflation is not anywhere south of 15%. And again, they don't include food and energy. I love how that, well, it's inflation, but not including the food and the energy. So bullshit. And even if prices go down, is not inflation. The only inflation is this being worthless because you printed it to death. Prices are irrelevant to this. The only thing I could measure inflation in is interest rates for the houses and the cars. And those are going up through the roof. So that's how you gauge inflation, not a used car that was 25,000 down to 22,000. Oh, inflation's going down. The used car market's going down. That must mean inflation. No, because every price doesn't go up and down. It's too big of a market. You can't have, you can't look at one thing going, oh, look, inflation's down. That's bullshit. I need a new look. I need a new house for my wife and kids. I've been hoping and investing with physical gold and silver in the miners with rates at 7%. It's just for it to crash. The market's going to crash because of the high interest rates and the inflation. So just wait. It's going to crash. Then you're going to buy it real cheap. 1 ounce of silver ought to buy you a nice house. I can't believe waiting much longer. I've been investing in gold and silver for 0 years now. For 10 years now. You're like Bobby. You write me in Chinese. I can't understand. Yeah, I mean, well, in the 90s, I made the mistake of buying cards because my ex-wife, instead of buying gold, it takes me to a card show and we start buying cards. But here's how I think. I went from Pro Set, where she got me a bunch of Topps Hockey 1990. We go to the card show. I see these other cards in my mind so quick it says, well, fuck it. I don't want a bunch of nobodies. So then I go to the Montana and the Rices and the Elways and the Marinos and the Barry Sanders to the 65s. Give me the Willie Mays. Give me the Hank Aaron, the Clemente. Mano's too much. I got a 68 Mano. I got some Bobby Orrs. So I went to the stars because of the demand. Say's Law. See how economics comes into everything. Say's Law says the superstars have the demand. That's where the price is going. So when I invested, that's why I got the Montana rookie, because I said that's where the demand is. There's always going to be demand for Montana and Brady and Mahomes and Mickey and, Willie Mays. You just go through the list. There's always going to be demand for those. Like I said, we saw Mickey Mantle. I went on eBay looking for Mickey Mantle rookies last show. PSA 5, Mickey Mantle 51 or 52, whatever his rookie card is, $300,000 for a PSA 5 Mantle, not a 10, a PSA 5. So I would say if you ever saw a mint condition Mickey Mantle rookie and it's less than $5 million to buy it, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's got to be $10 million for a PSA 10. There can't be more than 5 of them, and we know there's demand for a Mantle rookie. So, I mean, this is what I tell Nick. I says, if you go into a card show, that's what you look for. the ungraded, but you got to have the eye that a mint condition has sharp corners, centering, no stains. If you find cards like that, and they're of Mickey Mantle and Tom Brady and Willie Mays, just fucking buy them because they're worth 100 times more. Because everything in Beckett's priced as a near mint ungraded card. So if they're going to look at the Beckett and see it's $100, and if it's graded PSA 8, it's worth 20,000. So that's the method to my madness. And it's ironic. Had I bought gold, I never, it wouldn't have been worth as much as the cards I got. So it's really an ironic twist that I'm going to have a lot more money with the Montana card than I'm going to make on the gold, which is insane. But the gold is going to pay me back at the end. I firmly believe that. But you want real assets. That's how you fight inflation. As far as I can't handle listening to these guys trying to tell you how to retire. What's retirement planning? I listen to this show as I'm going to the club to swim. Well, you want a dividend bearing stock. The stock market's going to crash. What the fuck would you want that for? Never out of his ears, out of his mouth, do I hear gold and silver. Why the fuck not? Because they don't get commission on it. Well, are you here to help the people, or are you here just to make your commission? And this is the problem why you never trust stockbrokers and you never trust financial planners. They're only going to put you into things that makes them the commission. And watch Attack on Wall Street and you'll understand. He lost 60,000. He ended up killing everybody, but he lost 60,000 because he put it in real estate trust. Had he bought gold with $60,000 in 2007, it would have been worth $110,000 in 2009, and he never would have went to zero. And this is what blows me away: is just buy fucking gold. You can't lose. There's no risk. There's 0% loss. You have the gold coins, and it's only can go up, and now it's going to go to the moon. You have no risk. Show me where else you're going to have no risk in an asset. Okay, the Montana rookie, the Mantle cards, understood. That's it. That's maybe a Rolex, but real assets, and especially gold and silver ones. Mr. Luke, love Andy S. I buy from SD Bullion, though. Andy, he doesn't know what he's really talking about. He keeps saying supplies low, but he doesn't understand COMEX, and he doesn't understand they're keeping the price down. He doesn't get it. So I don't really like him because he's a CFO salesman trying to sell, but he's not really trying to help people. And I kind of read through them. All these guys I read through, they're not Austrians. They're not Adam Smith, what I just showed you. Real assets, yes, because the value of the dollar is not an asset. I mean, it's a depreciating asset, like an old car. So you got an old Mercedes, it was worth $100,000. Now it's got 1 million miles on it and it's 20 years old. It's worth $2,000. And that's what a dollar is. It's depreciating to zero, just like a car, but if you buy gold or the Mantle card and it's graded and the Rolex, then that can't go to zero. That's only going to go up because that'll hold the value. So it's really the dollar going down and all these assets that you have going up because it takes more dollars. So as you destroy this, it now takes you more dollars to buy the same thing. That's why stakes are $20. Part of it was that corn we were watching with Adam Smith, where they have to use corn and force the price up. Now I kind of understand why stakes are $10, $15, $20 a pound, is because of the fucking corn, because the stupid government got away from competition and is forcing corn in the gas. So the corn, because the guy's brother's probably in the corn business, so they're making a hand over fist in gold, but it's not free market. And that's the problem. See, and then everybody will blame, well, capitalism doesn't work. I was watching somebody say that about, what did he say it about? There was something that was on and it led to, well, you see, capitalism doesn't work. And it had nothing fucking to do with capitalism. Capitalism's simple. I go make money and I buy something, and then there's five guys selling scones, and the best one at the best price I buy, and that's it. And if I don't want to buy, then the price drops. That's the market. There's no deflation. Inflation, you're fucking with the dollar. So if you just keep it backed by gold, you'd never have inflation. You'd never have racism, because I don't care if you want to buy my Canadian club. If I'm selling, I don't care what you are. I don't care if you're yellow, blue, pink, or green. If you got money and you want my Canadian club, buy it. And then there's no racism, because you're all customers to me. You're feeding my pocket. I don't care whatever. And so that ends all that with the gold standard. Unfortunately, they won't do it. What do you think about investing anything in 401k versus buying physical gold? Well, I think I made myself pretty clear. I'm dumping my 401k into physical gold, even with the 3% match. Again, you've got this. So you're investing in a depreciable asset. I am not in my 401k. I would rather buy gold with it. I'd rather buy gold than be in a 401k. Okay, so, and keep in mind, taxes are going to go up with these idiots in the White House. So I think it's 2025. Trump's thing goes away and Biden's huge increases start going. So all you're doing in a 401k, yes, you're getting the 3% match. I would ask them to give me 3% in gold. I tease Bobby's, some of his friends get paid in Bitcoin, and I kind of say, you need to tell them to get paid in gold and silver. So I wonder what, like LeBron and Brady and those guys, where their money's at. I guarantee you it's in stocks, and they're all going to get killed. I doubt any of them are in gold. Gold is zero risk. So yes, you might get that 3%, but it's in dollars. That's your problem. That's what you realize is, I don't want anything in stocks. It's about to crash. So I get the fuck out of stocks, because it's the foreigners who have $25 trillion in our houses and stocks and everything, in our property. And they're going to dump because they don't want to be in dollars. And when they dump, there's not enough US people to buy it. So it's going to, you sell, well, look what happened with Credit Suisse. As soon as the Saudis dumped and got out, it collapsed. And you're going to see a lot more banks collapse, and you're going to see the stock market collapse. Companies are not going to make earnings in a recession, depression that we're having as you inflate the money. So they can paint the picture, oh no, inflation's gone. It ain't gone, it's 20%, which makes it extremely hard, because as people get laid off, sales drop, but your equipment, your building, your capital doesn't drop. You still have a building. Your GM, you still have the plant where you're making the cars. And if you sell less cars, you still have the plant, you still have the property taxes, you still have all the capital in there. It doesn't go away. You bought a $100 million building, you've got it. So as your sales drop, your costs stay, you're fucked. Well, what's going to happen to your stock? So where are you going to hide your money? You can't be in the autos. You can't be in any company that has like a fixed thing, like a car, right? So if you're in a Ford, GM, Toyota, get the fuck out of that right away. The only thing I would suggest is like you're doing the gold stocks, but they're not doing anything because nobody's in them. They're all in Tesla and Apple, and they're so overpriced, and it's such a bullshit game. That's why I go into gold. You can't fuck me. You can fuck me over in Microsoft, right? They're laying off people. I read that. That was one of the first things I read. Microsoft's laying off more people. Obviously not going to make money. The stock should be going down because stocks are based on forward earnings. But if you're going to start losing money, the stock's going to get crushed. All the stocks will. but I can't get, so I can wake up and I'm in Amazon and I've lost 30 points because the Chinese took their money out and the British took their money out. Nobody wants to be in US dollars. They took their money out and I wake up and I'm crushed. That can't happen with gold because it's gold. It's an asset. It's cash. You have it. Nobody can say it's worth zero. It's impossible. There's too much demand for it. So that's why I just sit there and hold the gold and hold the physical, and I sleep very well at night. When I hear this BRICS thing, I guarantee a lot of people are freaking out, and I'm sitting there going, it's about fucking time. Let's blow up COMEX and let's go. And that's my retirement. I give some to my girlfriends and say, here's an ounce. And they laugh at me. Well, it's only 2,000. Or I give them 10 ounces of silver. Well, it's only worth 25 an ounce. I go, just wait. When it's 2,000 an ounce and it's worth 20 grand, then you'll be saying, yeah, you're pretty smart. You can't lose in it. So we're looking at a bet that you can't lose. We're looking at a football bet, and we know Kansas City's going to win. They can't win. We know KC's going to beat the Lions. So we know that's going to happen. So why fuck around? I mean, just take the money, take the thing. And gold is the surest bet, and it's been suppressed. So why everything else, even the Rolex, the Montana, the housing, the stocks are way overvalued, but here's gold way down there, ready to do that. So you're jumping on this thing that's ready to go, that the Chinese and Russians are on our team, wanting it to go up. I don't like Putin, but if it's going to make the gold price go up, I'll be okay with him. He's not stupid. He might be a little bit insane with the war, but a lot of that is NATO, and he doesn't want NATO in the Ukraine. And I think if Ukraine joined NATO, I think we would be nuked. And so that's why they stopped it. Like, no, we can't let NATO in can't let the Ukraine in NATO. That's one thing we can't allow. Russia has too many nukes. I don't think Russia will play the nuke game. They're playing the gold game instead. That's what the real war is. Them doing the gold standard, and they know we don't have any, and we're fucked. And England and Canada don't have. They're all fucked. And the golden rule: who has the gold makes the rules. And we got to learn Chinese. I know a little Russian. We got to learn Chinese. Gold versus silver isn't a better buy for silver now with 85-1 ratio. I got about 600 ounces of silver now, but next Friday I'm buying 2 ounces of gold. Yes and no. Like I said, my whole thought is you're right, 85-1. I'm buying the silver anticipating the 10-1. And then I'm going to take 20 ounces of silver and buy 2 ounces of gold, as I said. So that would be why I'd buy silver. Yeah, it's at $25. It's a joke. You can't go wrong. I guess it just depends on your payday. If you get a lot of money in, I would buy gold because gold goes from 2,000 to 50,000. Gold's going to buy the house and the Mercedes, the Ferrari. Silver will buy you a lot too when it goes to, let's say, so you buy 20 ounces, it hits 2,000. You're worth $40,000 that you paid $500 for. So yeah, silver, I do like it. Put it this way, you can't go wrong buying either. You can play the silver card of 10-1, but I'm only going to play it to buy the 2 ounces of gold with the 20 ounces of silver. But I just think silver's so cheap. When I go to the coin store, I'm looking for gold first. And, once in a while, I bring like $500 and I say, okay, I'm going to buy the 20 ounces of silver, even if he has gold. Next Friday, I'm hunting gold, not silver next Friday. But yeah, that's, put it this way, you can't go wrong with either. It all depends. I mean, Are you going to buy? So if I buy an ounce of gold and it costs me $2,000, am I going to buy, what is it, 100 ounces of silver for $2,000 or 2,500? That's where it kind of like, how many Montana rookies do you want? I could buy another one, or I could buy the Mickey Mantle card. So it just depends on the value. In my mind, you can't go wrong with either. I would get enough gold because gold's king, but you can't go wrong with silver. So if you can buy gold, I would still buy some, but it depends where you are. So I'm at 600 ounces of silver. I'm getting tired of it, but every time I go, it's ridiculous. It's 2,000 an ounce and you're selling it to me for 25. And then the guys all apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, we raised the price of silver. And you're like, and it's 26 or 27, and I'm laughing in my ass off at them. I'm like, no, it's 2,000. You're giving me for 27. Thank you. And they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I'm explaining to them, and they still don't know what. They're still 26. Well, we can't sell it for 2,000. Nobody will buy it because all the other guys sell it. I go, that's the problem. All the other guys are idiots. Your spot is not even close to reality. So I don't know what to tell you, but you've got to be kidding. This price is not, it's just crazy. It's not even close to reality. So it's a fantasy price, as I say. So that's how I use it. I go, the COMEX is a fantasy price. It's not the real price. Nobody believes me because they all believe that spot is supply and demand. And I'm saying, no, it's not supply and demand. You would think it's supply and demand, but the price, if the demand's up here for the Montana card and the price is here, the demand for gold is up here, but the price is here. The price isn't where the demand is. These central banks are buying tons and tons of gold, but the price doesn't move. Explain that one. That doesn't make any sense. That's the point, right? It's not. The price isn't reacting to the demand, and that's what but we see that, right? That's why I'm here, and I go, no, that's not the demand for the Montana card. The price is right, 99,000 for the Earl Campbell, for the Walter Payton. How did they get to 125,000 for the rookie card? Because that's where the demand is. Otherwise, they can't charge it. Who's going to pay for it? So that means somebody paid 125,000 for the Walter Payton rookie card. Obviously, that's the market speaking. The scones, right? The market saying, "I'll give you 125 because I know it's limited," and that's what we're not getting in gold. They're not getting the price of where the demand's up here, but the price is still here. That's why everybody's buying it. I think J.P. Morgan's getting paid off by the Russians and the Chinese and all the central banks to keep the price low. Who does it benefit? You always ask, who does it benefit? It benefits the buyers, right? We're lucky enough to get the benefit of it, but it's not meant for us. It's meant for the central banks in Russia and China. Well, probably more China. Russia has so many gold mines. They just take it out of their mines and make whatever Russian gold they make, and off they go. But that's probably what's happening, is they're probably getting paid off to keep the price low, because I know I'd like to. If I'm going to, okay, I'll keep the price low and you can buy this for $2. Would you do it? Of course. This is a $60, $70 bottle. So yes, I got this in 1997 when I worked there. So if I keep the price at $2, you're gonna buy it off the shelf. At what point can I not keep the price at $2? Does the price go to the 60 it's at? And that's really what we're fighting. But at some point, J.P. Morgan will not be able to hold it at the $25 silver price. Eventually, there'll be too much demand, and then what we need is competition from another big play. My rationale is the NFL, right? In 1960, they're a monopoly, and then here comes the AFL in the 60s, and then finally by 66, we got the Super Bowl, and then in 70, you have the merger, and now you're a monopoly again. So the competition came in. So let's realize the competition. It's a bunch of rich owners, right? The Jets get Namath and San Diego and Kansas City with Hank and Lenny, and all those teams are there. And then they're starting to, they buy Namath was the key. That forces all the prices up, and they don't want that. So they don't want competition. They want a monopoly. So they merge it. But what did it take? Rich owners in the AFC, Al Davis and all those guys. So that's what we need in gold is we need the rich Chinas and Russias and Saudi Arabias, South Africas to say, fuck it, we want gold here. And then they won't be able to compete. Once they signed Namath for $400,000, that was it. So that's what we want. We need the Chinese and the Saudis and the South Africans to, hey, look, we're coming out with this gold-backed currency. We need $20,000 an ounce gold. That's once they do that, that's the competition for JP Morgan and COMEX, which there hasn't been. They've been able to keep it a monopoly, but that's what we need. Those are the rich owners coming in to get Namath. That's how it ends. So that should be pretty good. Gold, silver, Eagles versus the other doesn't matter. I buy a lot of Cougarans and Maple Leafs because they're cheaper. But you're buying an ounce of gold. You don't want proofs necessarily. You don't want graded ones because they're going to cost you more. And that's really not what you're buying it for. We're buying an ounce of gold. We're buying an ounce of silver. I buy a lot of bullion. I buy some silver that's actual dollars, but a lot of mine are the Buffaloes and that. The gold I'm always buying. I'm only buying government currencies. So it's either the Maple Leaf, the Philharmonic, the Cougaran, or the Eagle. That's all I buy. I don't buy anything that I don't know what it is. The James Bond sovereigns that was in gold, that was in From Russia with Love, doesn't say gold on it. I could have bought one at my gold store. And I look at it, and I go, does it say gold on it? And he says, no. And I go, well, if I'm trying to sell it, let's say I want to sell it to you, Luke, you're going to say, is it real gold? I don't know. I know it is, but I don't know how to show you. You have to get one of those meters and put it on, and it'll say, yes, it's real gold. But I just assume get an Eagle or a Maple Leaf or a Cougaran that there's no question. We know it's gold. And the one key is that if it sticks to a magnet, it's not real. Like this does not stick to a magnet. We know it's real. Stay away from the jewelry. This I kind of getting screwed on. It's an ounce of gold, but it's not worth the 2,000. It's worth about 11 or 1,200 because it's 18 karat gold. And who keeps hitting me? It's 18 karat gold, but there's a 18 karat gold price, which is 3/4 of the 20. So if it's 2,000, the 18 karat is 18 divided by 20 is like 3/4. So it'd make it like 1,500 and then times the ounce. So this would be worth like 1,400 instead of it's an ounce of gold, it's 2,000. Because they're saying, well, there's other things in it. It's not really a full ounce of gold, although I thought they came up with it. But the 18 karat, the values it. So if you're buying, buy the gold coins or the gold bars. Don't buy the jewelry thinking you'll make some money on it. I mean, I paid $500. This is worth $1,300. So I made some money on it. But if I'd have bought 2 ounces of gold back then, it'd be worth 4,000. So you're better off buying the actual gold, the coins. But no, as long as it's something, but I would only buy government. So it's either a Maple Leaf, a Cougaran, a Philharmonic I have. Those are pretty neat. There's kangaroos I've got, some of those. I see some Chinese pandas at the coin shop. I don't buy them because I'm not sure what the Chinese are going to do. But I do buy a lot of Eagles. So I got a lot of Eagles, a lot of second. I buy 1/10 of an ounce, quarter, halves, and ounces. Depending on what I have on me, I might only want to spend $500. I'll buy a quarter. What do you think about Trump coming back and going back to a gold standard? Well, I mean, Trump could have went to a gold standard. He was president for 4 years. I don't know how much I like Trump. He seems like a lot of problems. I never liked his show when he said "you're fired." The way he did it, it really turned me off. I don't know. He's against the system, but I don't know how good of a leader he really is. He did a lot of good things, I will admit. I wasn't a Trump guy before he got elected, and I certainly didn't want Clinton to get elected. I'm not a Biden guy, but I don't know that I'm a Trump guy. It's really hard because you're not really getting who'd be stupid enough to run for president, right? Because it's you're just a puppet of Soros and Buffett and Gates and those guys. So it's really hard. But that's all you're getting so just keep that in mind. You're just getting a puppet anyway. But yeah, I see some Trump, I think gold or silver. I won't buy them because now I'm getting into politics. And what if somebody doesn't like Trump? I can't sell them the coin. But if it's an eagle, everybody, it's a maple leaf, and then nobody cares. But I just buy the plain Jane. I don't buy a PS 70 or 69 or any of that. I don't buy a proof. I want an ounce of gold, so I buy the coins. There is some bars I get, but usually if I have the choice, I'm going to buy the coin. Silver, I buy the bullion most of the time because I'm buying an ounce of silver. I do have Highland Mint. I got like a Jordan, Barry Sanders, Emmett Smith, Marino, Gretzky, and I bought those for like $15 in the 90s. Not really, because the silver wasn't anything real. It just never moved, but I bought them for the players. And now most of them are worth like $75, $80, $100, like the Jordan. Even though it's an ounce of silver, now it's an ounce of silver with Jordan or an ounce of silver with Kobe. So now it's got a really big value. So I got some of those, but most of my silvers is now it's the bullion. But that's we understand supply and demand based on what I showed you with Adam Smith. So we know that's the key how to look at things, and we know the demand's huge. So I feel safe buying gold and silver because I know the demand's huge. That's why. I don't know the demand for this is huge. I know a lot of countries de-dollarizing. I know BRICS has about 35 countries trying to bang the doors in, and they're smart enough to go to a gold standard because I don't trust Russia or China, but if the currency is a gold standard, I trust gold. Everybody trusts gold. So that's really what I'd be looking at. I think that's where we're headed. Everything's going east. I don't know how long we want to live here. I'm looking at Europe, maybe like Hong Kong, maybe Switzerland. I don't really, because once the dollar goes, what the fuck's going to happen here? So I just want somewhere safe, somewhere like Adam Smith's world where free trade, your money's okay, So we'll see about that, but that's where I want to be. So I don't know. I might go to Switzerland next. I don't know. I've been to Portugal and Spain. Spain was a disaster. You got riots in France because they shot a kid that smells like a George Soros adventure. You got tractor protest in Madrid. What the fuck's going on? My girlfriend went to Poland to pick up her son to go to Berlin to meet her girlfriend. And there was 3 hours at the border. And then she said the trains and buses aren't running. Now, I don't know if it was just the time because she lost the 3 hours. All I know is she got to her son's apartment tonight. She said, I got there. I think she's staying 2 days. And then then they're going, I think they're taking a train to Berlin. I think what she did was took a car to the son in Poland. So she trained Ukraine to Poland because you can't fly. There's no airports in the Ukraine. So she trained to Lviv border. And then I think she wanted to train, but I don't think they were there. So she took a taxi. And then she's going to, I think, a train to Berlin. If they're running, I think they're running. Sometimes the way she talks, I get confused. And then we'll see what's going on in Berlin. They're having their own problem. All of Europe's collapsing. So I don't know. I would say Switzerland's probably the best place, or Amsterdam, or Austria. I stay away from Germany. But we got to be flexible and see. But gold goes anywhere. Everybody will take your gold, that's for sure. And another factor of buying gold versus silver, I can put 10 ounces of gold in my pocket and get on a plane and nobody bothers me. You know how heavy 600 ounces of silver is? Plus, it's not worth that much. So the more gold you can get, if you have to go to Switzerland, you put 10 ounces in your pocket and you're fine. And it's going to be worth a ton. So that's kind of another factor. I would have a little bit more gold if you got to do that. And then the silver, how you going to fucking, I got mine in these big that I had my baseball cards in containers, and I got like 20 ounces. I got 15 of them that, it's probably 40 pounds. And then I got the next one has like 10, and then I got the Highland Mints. So you do have a benefit of gold in that it's, I can put 10 ounces worth a lot more than the silver in my pocket and get on an airplane and nobody cares. They don't care about gold and silver at this point. I flew to Barcelona. Well, you saw me there. And I brought my girlfriend some gold and silver. Nobody gave a fuck. I had it in my shoe when I took the shoes off to go through the x-ray. Nobody cared. I shoved a bunch of quarters with it. They didn't care at all. They're looking for weapons. So it's something you can still get through without any problem at all. So probably get a little bit more gold at this point, depending on where you're at. But once you get to that point, then yeah, you probably buy some silver just because it's so cheap and it's going to go up. Thank you. That's my pleasure. Well, thank you. Welcome here, Luke. You're always welcome. We do football. Football I'm really good at. You think I'm good at this? I'm not even close to what I'm good at football. Watch my Saturday and Sunday show. I did college, and then I go through every game, and then I go through the NFL on Sunday. So once the season starts, I'll do the whole show. College will be on like Thursdays, and the pros will do on Fridays. And then I'll talk a little bit of gold, like if this stuff happens with bricks or something. The Adam Smith stuff I'm doing now, but once football starts, I won't be doing that. Probably not. Switzerland is sweet. Charmino, the coolest village ever. Fly to Geneva and train to Charmino. I stayed in Geneva. I went with my other girlfriend. We were in Vienna, and then we took a few days in Geneva. We took a train to a ski resort. So I didn't ski. I didn't want to get injured in Switzerland. So she skied, and it took all day to get there. So she had like an hour of skiing, but we did that. It was a nice day. I don't think it was I don't know if it was the Swiss Alps or not. It was, mountains in Switzerland. Let's put it that way. But I liked it. And Geneva's cool. You just tram from the hotel downtown, and it's like €2 for the whole day. There's plenty to eat and shop. So from that standpoint, it's a nice, definitely a nice time. Austria was nice too. Again, the only time I go to Germany is Frankfurt, or when I'm flying, I fly into Germany and I never leave the airport and I go on. Love the Steelers. Yeah. Well, the first week, for example, the way I break it down, I love the under in the Frisco Pitt week 1. Love the under in the game. That's how I look at it, where most people don't, is I'm really can catch all angles, and you got 2 strong defenses. You got maybe Purdy's playing. Pickett sucks. They don't have an offense, but they got a great defense, so it should be a defensive struggle, 20-17 or whatever. I do teasers, so everything is a 6-point teaser. And that's kind of how I look at everything. But I use the 6 points. I know how to use it real well. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Like I said, we've got BRICS announcing they're having the gold-backed dollar. That's it. These banks are starting to get out of the ones fixing it. So I don't know what else to tell you. I can't imagine it's going to last much longer. Let's see what happens in August with this Johannesburg conference with BRICS. And then I just say we take it each month at a time. And we know it's going to bust. That's for sure. It's just a matter of when. And I don't care about the reserve currency. It's meaningless. It's if your currency is inflated to zero, it really doesn't matter if you're the reserve currency or not. All right, so that's what's happening. And have a nice night. Nice to see you here, Luke. www.teaserking.com is the website for the football. The prices are up. The password's in. I'm waiting to hear back from my IT guy. I still have the bowl price in for the bowls that I asked him to switch and put up the history. He's probably on vacation or something because I haven't heard from him. But it's early yet. But I already have one buyer bought the season, so it's a good price to buy the season if you want. Anyway, football's right around the corner, and I got my magazine to prove it. So this is my college guide. So tracking Middle Tennessee. These are really where you make your money, is on the Middle Tennessees. If you can understand them, usually they're either overs or unders, or they're just shit, or like Texas San Antonio is a really good team, but an over, and they got Houston week 1. I'm betting that game over, but you got to understand that. All right. That's the bottom line. The Stone Cold says so. Have a nice day. Today is Tuesday, so probably Friday, because I'm back to my 4 9s and a 4, and I wanted to touch base on this whole BRICS thing and the bank getting out. And then I was watching some Adam Smith earlier, which I thought really ties it up, because that's really what we want to do, is the supply demand, the invisible hand. That's really what we should be doing, not this bullshit with the monopolies and everything else. All right. Have a good night. www.teaserking.com. I will see you, I think, Friday, maybe Thursday night, but probably Friday. All right. Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, normal 11:30, 12 o'clock times. All right. Have a great day. Good night. Take care.